Okay, 1 minute. Let's get ready here and see if they actually go. Do I actually have to push this? Start or stop external output. Oh, no way! They got on. Check. Check. This way. No way! They got on. Come on in, everyone, for the first ever edition of Mavs on Deck as we discuss tonight's matchup between the Medicine Hat Mavericks and the Okotoks Dawgs, who will square off in the Chopped Leaf home opener. But before then, let's take a closer look at tonight's matchup. My name is Truman Bartman, and alongside me is Wayne Slosher. And Wayne, it's always a fun time when baseball season is right around the corner. And speak of right around the corner, we're about 15 minutes away from first pitch here in Medicine Hat.
Yeah, it's exciting. We're the first two teams to open up the season. It's a beautiful night here in Medicine Hat. And we're expecting a very good crowd tonight. The fans are streaming in already, and the game doesn't start for another 20 minutes.
And
these two teams are so highly competitive that we expect a very good match tonight.
yes, and speak of competitive, the Dawgs, they've been competing at the highest level for the past couple of years, winning 3 straight titles, and they really have been the symbol of the best within the WCBL and what it means to be that premier franchise. The Mavericks have done a bit of the same, being a perennial playoff team who are always in the mix, but haven't quite reached that upper echelon that the Dawgs have been at.
Well, kudos to Okotoks for their three-peat, and I'm sure they're going to expect a four-peat this year. But you know, the teams are going to have to catch up to Okotoks. They've got the premium flagship team in the WCBL, and I know Sylvan Lake is a very good club. Saskatoon proved that they're worthy last year. Reds, Regina are always in the picture, and you know, it's going to be very competitive again this year. But everybody's going to look at Okotoks. How are they going to shape up against Okotoks? And Medicine Hat gets the first chance at them tonight.
And it's probably good for the Mavericks. And speaking with a lot of members of their team throughout the years, or specifically before the start of this year, they say that having a team like Okotoks and playing against them right off the bat is a good thing to kind of see where you might match up around the league, and you get a taste of the best right off the bat.
Yeah, and it is difficult at this time of year to really size up because there are college players that are still playing in their road to the playoffs down in the U.S. So not all the teams are going to have their players with them. You know, I'm expecting that Okotoks have some players that are missing now that they expect will come back in a week or so. And other teams might be in the same situation.
And the situation that we have at hand down below there, Wayne, they're doing some work on the diamond. There was some flooding that occurred due to a sprinkler going a bit crazy, especially in between second and first.
Well, we were kind of watching it, and we were wondering why nobody was watching what we were seeing, because you could see the water accumulating, and now they're putting some diamond dry on it and trying to dry it out. Jeff Morrison, who's the head groundskeeper here, does a great job. He's been working on this field for the last couple of years, and it's in the best shape we've ever seen it. So I don't think that'll delay the game at all.
Yeah, and alongside Jeff's great work on the diamond, there's been lots of new paint added around the facility. They've repainted just about every part of Athletic Park, especially around the bleachers, and even a new photo booth type area has been added below one of the sections. So lots of new things happening around the park this year. Not a major expansion like we've seen in the past, but always new things blossoming, which is cool to see. We will send it to a quick commercial break from our network and sponsor, Flow Sports, and then we will be back with the beginning of our game. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Athletic Park, located in Canada's sunniest city, Medicine-Hat, Alberta. And at last, we have some green grass and good weather has officially returned, and it's set the stage for baseball's re-entrance into the city of Medicine-Hat. And calling this park home since 2003, the Mavericks once again hit the diamond with a new look in 2025, hoping that last year's disappointing first-round exit will be flipped on its head come this year. The team on the other end, up from Okotoks, Alberta, well, they haven't had a lot of disappointment in recent memory as they have been atop the WCBL for 3 consecutive seasons, capturing a three-peat of their own. And they have their sights set on grabbing one more this year and becoming the first WCBL/WNBL franchise to ever complete the four-peat. The Dawgs will be on the prowl for that. But tonight, it not only signals a new journey for both of these clubs, but the first chapter in our journey of the 2025 WCBL season. And here with me to usher in a new regime, not only on the diamond, but as well on the broadcast, is Wayne Slosher. My name is Truman Bartman, and for the first time ever, we welcome you on Flow Sports as we get set for Game 1 of the WCBL season. And Wayne, it's a beautiful night outside tonight. Perfect night for some baseball.
It really is. Plus 29 degrees, no wind. The flags in right field and left field are hanging limp. And it's a beautiful evening. Expect a good crowd tonight with this weather. Summer has finally arrived. It's been late getting here this year. And the rest of the week looks as equally beautifully for the weather as tonight does.
And the Mavericks have a lot of games coming up as they'll see Moose Jaw tomorrow night. Then they go on the road. Lethbridge back here on Saturday and Swift Current on Sunday. So, as you said, Wayne, that good weather has to stay consistent for Medicine-Hat. And we've been fortunate over the years to have lots of good weather. There hasn't been a lot of rainouts in this place.
We are very fortunate here, and I think it's because of the river valley that we're in. We see a lot of bad predictions for the weather. Weather forecasts predict a lot of rain, and very seldom do we get rain here. And we're kind of in the banana belt part of Canada. And the clouds come towards us, and then they split, and they go around us. So I think we've only been rained out maybe once or twice in the last 3 years. Very seldom do we get rained out. Now, speaking of water, we have too much water on the field between first and second base. And they put their sprinklers on before the game, and it kind of got soaked there. And now they're putting down Diamond Dry, to try to dry it out, and hopefully it won't delay the game too much longer.
Yeah, they're working hard out right there right now. And as you can see, the players really in the mix. They're always a part of the grounds crew within this Mavericks organization year in and year out. And that's not something that every team does, but within the WCBL, you do see that more frequently, and the Mavericks, one of those many. But let's take a look at what Mavericks will be on the diamond actually playing tonight with our starting lineup presented by Fortis. And looking at the Mavs, Wayne, a couple familiar names, but it's really brought together by some of the unknowns in the Mavericks lineup, and that all starts off at the top of the order with left fielder in Yusei Uzawa.
Yes, Yusei Uzawa will be playing left field and batting leadoff for the Mavs tonight. Batting second is Johnny Volcano, a returning player. He's been with the Mavericks this will be his third year, I believe. He'll be at shortstop. Another veteran, Tyler Veneste, will be at third base. Carter Roth will occupy second base. Aaron Volcano, Johnny's brother, will be in right field, batting fifth. Evan Morrison, local boy, will be at first base. Micah Dvorak will be DH. Micah was here last year and I thought had a very good season. Jaden Babiak, his second year with the Mavs, will be catching. Jeremy Freeman Jr. will be in center field.
And lots of speed over there in center field, Wayne. Freeman, a base stealer at Ottawa University in Kansas, and he wasn't just a base stealer. He set the all-time record for most stolen bases ever in school history. So he will be one that the Dawgs will have to keep an eye on once he gets to the base path. And speaking of the Dawgs, well, let's take a look at their starting lineup presented by Fortis Alberta. And we all started off with a new name up top in Aiden Krause, the center fielder, leading off.
Yes, Aiden Krause will be leading off in center field. Connor Krausen will be at third base. Connor is a well-known player in this league, and I know the Mavericks aren't fancy about him playing again. Jacob Robluski will be the DH. Nash Kroll will be at first base. Another returning player, Barry Eisman, will be in right field. Brandon Pez at second base. Lou Anderson will be catching. Landon Kaufman in left field. And Aiden Munoz at shortstop. The umpires for tonight's game will be at home plate. Mike Richards, at first base Brian Stair, and at third base Matt Ben.
And we've seen a lot of Brian Stair in this park throughout the years, Wayne, with his signature lawnmower signal when he calls for strike 3 down below. He's very familiar with this park.
Yes, yeah, he's a local Medicine Hat boy and or young man, and he'll be at first base tonight. Matt Ben is from Lethbridge. And Mike Richards, the home plate umpire, is from, I believe, way in the east area of Canada, Prince Edward Island, I believe.
And that's not Mike Richards, who played for Team Canada back in the day. That is Mike Richards, the umpire, rather.
Yes, yes.
So now that you're familiar with the crew on the field, we will give you a look into who our starting pitcher is for the Dawgs just in a moment. We'll let him get out to the mound first, but as we look down below from bleacher to bleacher, this crowd continues to fill, and on a hot summer day where many people have been inside recently enjoying the Medicine Hat hockey that has been going on, it's a good chance for them to enjoy the sunshine.
Yeah, this is baseball weather in a hockey town. And right now, those of you that aren't following hockey too much, the Medicine Hat Tigers are in the championship game of the Memorial Cup, and that's for the best teams in Canada under the age of 20 years old. And it's been an exciting season for the Medicine Hat Tigers, so go Tigers. They play the championship game on Sunday.
One of the few teams that you will hear me and Wayne agree about throughout the course of this season outside of the Mavericks is the Medicine Hat Tigers, and best to them as well. And who knows, maybe we'll see Rory throwing out a first pitch if they can bring it all the way. He's done it in the past, and that would be an exciting thing to see. And Coach Jonathan Thornhill was asked a couple of days ago with the Tigers doing so well, does that put pressure on you guys to enter that same realm and reach those same heights? And he said, well, this is my first time visiting Medicine Hat, so there's not really any pressure involved. Very truthful, but it could be a city of champions later this summer.
That would be nice.
It would be nice. Now let's go to the Singing of O Canada, which will commence shortly. And now that the anthem has passed, let's return to the action here as the Mavericks will commemorate around the diamond. And let's take a look at who's at the middle of it all, and that is Foster Voiko from Ottawa University, Kansas. And we've already mentioned that university twice tonight. He's the tallest figure on the Mavericks roster, standing a whopping 6'5", donning the number 17. And we will see what he can bring to this Maverick staff tonight.
Well, it's always nice to have a senior pitcher on your staff, and he's a senior at university. Those pitchers are invaluable in this league because they've been around, they know how to pitch, a little bit more mature, they don't get rattled, and I think that's always a key to success is your pitching staff, and especially if you can get some junior and senior pitchers that are in university. Now, having said that, it's harder to get those pitchers because a lot of the college coaches don't want to let them go because of pitch counts. So if they're a good pitcher in college, they don't want them maxing out during the summer or pitching too much and then not being available the following school year.
And oftentimes from the stands or even from up here, we're not aware of how many pitches a pitcher can throw. So sometimes they will exit the game prematurely. That is likely the reason for a lot of that. So Voiko will get warmed up here. Everyone will clear out, and then Kraus will crawl his way to the plate for his first at-bat in the WCBL as a member of the Dawgs. And surely an exciting moment for him and lots of the others who make their WCBL debuts tonight. And what a great league this is, not only for the competition that it brings, but for the development that it allows these young collegiate players to garner.
Well, for those players that are far away from home, we welcome them to Western Canada, and we hope they have a great experience being up here, and hopefully their parents, girlfriends, maybe aunts and uncles, grandparents can come and watch them play somewhere.
And we've been fortunate to meet lots of those exact people over the years, and it's always fun to meet the faces on the other side of the broadcast. So if you are in town at all this year, be sure to come up and say hi. I wanted to get that in right off the bat because we enjoy getting to meet all the people connected with our players on the diamond. And for those at home, just another bit of a note. May have noticed or may not have noticed if you weren't on ahead of time, but we will be having a pregame show at 6:50 local time here in Medicine Hat before each game. So 15 minutes before each game, be sure to come on. We will have all your pregame needs. Wasn't a ton of footnotes tonight as everybody starts at zero, but we recapped a couple of the returning players and maybe some of the expectations, especially with a squad like the Dawgs, who have found the championship level over the course of the last 3 years. And they look to run it back once again as champions again this year. And by the looks of it, on paper, they sure got the talent.
Well, we're ready to go.
And we're off. Voiko will send the first pitch down the middle here, and it'll be taken by Kraus. He'll look to throw his first strike on the board this year, and we'll look to learn a little more about Foster Voiko throughout this. He arrived on the same day as two of his Ottawa, Kansas teammates in Luis Diaz and Diego Centella, both pitchers for that squad and now for the Mavericks. That one will be down for another ball, so that's 3 straight off the bat here for Foster Voiko as he looks to get acquainted with his new home. And that one is going to be called ball 4, and it'll be a walk for Kraus. So nothing in the strike zone for Voiko to start. Get some of those nerves out of the way. I'm sure there's lots.
Well, you got to, as a pitcher, you got to get used to the mound. You got to get used to a new catcher. Everything is new.
Voiko will take a peek over at first base. And Kraus thought about going, and it's a swing and a miss here from Connor Croson.
Croson was hitting bombs out of the park here in the pregame and the BP practice. He was tattooing the ball.
We'll talk more about his success
Kraus
later. Kraus will go. That one slips through the palm and goes behind Babiuk. Babiuk very reliable back there. He's an athletic catcher. Not the biggest frame, but he's kept the ball in front of him in years past. Kraus over at second now, and the Dawgs already threatening to score their first run of the game here on Voiko and company. Voiko on the way, and a swing and a miss from Croson, the reigning playoff MVP in the WCBL. And a multiple-time All-Star to go along with that as well. He has had 2 appearances. Voiko, a quick look over his shoulder. And here comes the ball, and a swing and a miss. It's a big-time player to strike out, and a big-time strikeout with a runner looming for Voiko. So Foster gets his first career WCBL strikeout, and that will send up to the plate Jacob Wrobleski out of Gonzaga University, playing for the Bulldogs. We've seen a lot of those Gonzaga players throughout the league over the years. Finbar O'Brien with Sylvan Lake last year was one of the elite pitchers. And Kraus going to try and steal third. This one rattles around and will drop to the feet of Babiuk. Kraus getting to third safely.
Well, Kraus has picked up the pattern from Voitko, where he's one looking, and he one looked back at Kraus and looked home, and Kraus took off.
Here's Voiko. That pitch will fall low, so it's another ball.
Infield playing back. They'll let the run score to get an out.
One low to Wrobleski again. And so behind in the count twice in the early going here is Voiko. And it's interesting that the guy you sometimes go against attacking is the one that he attacked and got through with it. That one falls for a strike, and Babiuk losing the grip on it at the last moment. Trying to work his way back here is Voiko.
Let's put another fastball in there.
Here comes the pitch, and a swing and a miss there. And so Wrobleski will work in a full count. This would be a big strikeout for Voiko.
Yeah, it would be.
As you said, you're okay with giving up a run, and he's going to get him. Down on strikes is Wrobleski, and he's not happy with it.
That pitch looked like it was outside, and he got the call. We'll take it.
So 2 down on strikes for the Dawgs, and that one runner still looming. And a big bat, one of the biggest bats in this league, Nash Kroll, first baseman. He can hit the long ball better than anybody else.
Yeah, he was tattooing it as well in BP before the game.
Kroll will flip that one over into foul territory, and it will drop just over the Dawgs dugout.
That pitch got in on his hands, and he couldn't get the barrel on it. Good pitch by Voitko. Fastball inside.
Kroll growing up in Nova Scotia, made the move and joined Dawgs Academy as a young ball player.
Oh.
That one's going to be called a ball for Voiko. Looming on deck is Barry Eisman, another returning member here for the Dawgs. Comes the throw from Voiko, and that one low as well.
Babiuk's got to not move around so much catching. That pitch looked pretty good, and he popped up as if it was going to be a strike. And he might have blocked out the view of the umpire.
And a low one again. It's going to get away. Here's Babiuk. Toss, and it'll go over Kraus. Voiko wasn't there in time, and the first run of the 2025 WCBL season is on the board, and it is Kraus who rolls into home plate. Boy, he just maneuvered his way around the diamond with no troubles at all.
Well, he's a very aggressive base runner, and he's in the ideal spot. Walks to get on, steals 2 bases, and comes home on a wild pitch.
One's going to get past Babiuk again, and he's having some trouble early on.
Yeah, just catching the ball seems to be a little bit of a problem right now.
And Kroll will step away and step back in. Voiko's good to go. Here comes the throw, and a swing and a miss will knock down Kroll. So the Mavs give up one, but Voiko with 3 Ks in his first inning debut. We'll head to the bottom half where the Mavs will get their first swings of the season up next. I'll plug myself back in. And let's take a look at who's on the mound tonight for the Okotoks Dawgs. And it's a new member of their staff for 2025. It's Braden Tambone. We've seen Ryan McFarland in years past, Brody Forno, Chase Tucker. They're all still on the team, but it's Tambone who gets the start. And, of course, got a clean slate as this is the first of the year for the young player out of Mesa Community College down in Arizona. And we'll see how he fares in a high-end system here for the Dawgs and against a team with some high flyers in the Mavericks. And making his way up to the plate now is Yusei Uzawa. Uzawa, not the tallest player on the Mavs, standing just 5'7".
Third baseman Connor Croson is already in on the grass, expecting maybe a little bit of a slap hitter. Doesn't look like UC would have a lot of power, maybe just contact.
That one's going to be high on the first offering here from Tambone. So Uzawa will be patient. That one will fall for a strike. Uzawa, we don't know much about him, but he looks like he's going to be a fast player.
Well, he's right up on the plate, standing in the front of the batter's box.
Takes another strike.
Not
there.
in the front, I'm sorry, but right up near the home plate.
And Uzawa is going to tap that one down, make a sprint for
run.
first, and he's out of there. Oh, at the last second, it was Tambone converting the throw over to Crowell. And 9 times out of 10, you're not going to get that play, but Crowell doing a good job to secure it. And now a familiar face up to the plate. He's had the same walk-up song, Animals by Nickelback, for the 3rd consecutive year. It's Johnny Volcano. Volcano, lots of great memories here, including a couple of walk-offs. Maybe one of his biggest was against Moose Jaw last season with a sacrifice fly. And boy, he ran quickly around the diamond and ended up in the left corner, celebrating with his teammates. They mobbed him against the fence.
One thing I did notice about UC, he can fly down the first baseline.
That pitch high there to Volcano. And we haven't seen it yet, but oftentimes Johnny will give a head shake a lot of the time. We'll see if he still has that within his routine. Here's the throw, and he'll shake the other way on that one. That wasn't a yes shake. Count is 2-1. And the pitch to Volcano is high once again. Tambone has missed in that spot a few times close to the batter. Volcano in a favorable spot here. Looks to get on with the 1 out already. And he's going to take a strike there, so the count will run full.
That was a good take by Volcano. That pitch was on the outside corner. 3-1. You want to look middle in, something you can pull.
Here's the throw, and it's hit up high. Wrobleski behind the plate, and he's going to make the play. So a bit of a tricky play as Wrobleski was pushed backwards by that ball, but Volcano down, and the Dawgs have claimed the first 2 outs here in the bottom of the first. And now maybe the most feared hitter on the Mavericks squad heading into this year, and that's Tyler Venesti, batting .367 last year, near the top of the WCBL the whole way. Didn't play in every game, but he was effective in just about all of them that he did play.
He ran into a little bit of injury problem there, did he not? With his leg or something? Or
can't comment on that because
that was last year.
That was last year.
That's what I'm referring to, is that last year he missed a few games. Good crowd here tonight. Fans are still coming in.
One low to Venesti, he'll shake that off. 2 balls, no strikes.
I'm thinking we're going to have around 1,500 fans here tonight.
Venesti will pop that one up in the air. Long run here, and we'll see who gets under it. It's going to be the center fielder, Kraus. So he scores the first run, and he ends the first inning. The Dawgs will be back up looking for more as the Mavs go 3 up, 3 down. And we return for the top of the second inning. Voiko still on the mound for the Mavs. And coming up to bat here for the Dawgs is Barry Eisman. Here's Voiko's first pitch, and he did go. So Voiko gets a first call strike, and strikeouts were not the problem in the first for Foster. He did a good job of sitting batters down, but it was Kraus who made him pay with the rounding of the bases. And this one's going to be shot over into left center. Long way to go. Oh. And missing it in center field was Uzawa, or Freeman rather. This one is going to come all the way over to Volcano at short. And it'll be a double to start things off here for the Dawgs and Eisman.
That was a good first pitch curveball. to get ahead, and then the next pitch, Eisman was waiting for the fastball, and he tattooed it. Freeman gave a great effort. Covered a lot of ground out in center field, but just couldn't get to it.
We talked about that speed earlier, and he almost had it pay off for him. Freeman was hustling. Here's one over into right. A little bit of a blooper gets down. Eisman might have a chance to score. He will instead pull up. This one thrown into a sliding Babiuk. So the Mavs will save a run from coming in, but there's danger as runners are on the corners.
Again, that fastball got in on the hands of Pez, but he was able to muscle it out into right field.
And Paez,
moving Eisman up to third.
Paez, a new member of the Dawgs this year, freshman at the University of Utah, playing NCAA Division I baseball. You always see a couple of those littered throughout the Dawgs lineup each year. This pitch is going to be low to Lou Anderson, who we announce this every year. It doesn't really matter for those listening on the broadcast, but we do a thing within Athletic Park called the beer batter, where you get half off beer if a certain batter from the other team strikes out. Tonight, that is Lou Anderson. So if you ever hear us calling for a beer batter, that's what we're referring to.
Is it half off beer?
I believe it is half off beer.
Oh, I thought it was 10% or something, or maybe it is half.
They might have taken it down. Who knows?
There goes the runner.
Babiuk in and out of the hand, thrown down, and
Good
the
job.
tag is perfect. Johnny Volcano on the other end, and it was timed to perfection between him and Babiuk.
That was a great play, great throw by Babiuk to throw it to the first base side of second. Roth came in as if he was going to cut the ball off, but let it go, and Volcano was behind him, caught the ball and put the tag on.
And it's Landon Kaufman, the left fielder, to the plate now. The Dawgs playing very aggressive out of the gate. And they're showing that they're not afraid to attempt stealing bases. That one high, Babiuk flashing the leather. Babiuk, a big Oilers fan, his favorite team's goalie, Stuart Skinner, has been doing a lot of that lately, getting up high with the glove and snagging it down.
Well, it's good that you talk about Canada's team, the Edmonton Oilers. They're going to make it to the Stanley Cup playoffs again.
Wayne,
Another
that's because they're in
dynasty in the making.
That's because they're in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Here's the throw from Voiko, and that one awfully close to Kaufman. Or rather, that was Anderson batting before after I went on the beer batter spiel, and now this is Kaufman up. I never expected in the second inning of this season to be already talking about the Oilers and how they're not Canada's team, and that there's many different hockey teams in Canada that are all cheered for very passionately, from Vancouver all the way over to Montreal. Here's Voiko, just the one out for the Mavs. Babiuk will cover that one up. They did so in style with the throw down to second base. And boy, a double play would be good with the Dawgs threatening to score once again. You don't want to allow them to continue to stack innings in the early going.
That was the first strike out of 8 pitches for Voitko. So he's got to find that strike zone. Let them hit the ball into the ground. There it is.
This one along the ground. It could be it. Volcano to second. Throw down to first, and he's safe.
Wow.
Morrison stretched out as far as he could.
I thought he was
so
out.
A run will come in to score. It was awfully close, Wayne.
It was close.
So that'll
But being the homer I am, I thought he was out.
I love your honesty. Aiden Munoz, shortstop, will come to the plate. And the Dawgs get an extra run here. And who knows, in about 8 innings from now, we could look back and say that that was the difference in the game. It's a game of inches, as many listeners know. We'll keep a close eye on that one. Here's Voiko. We'll look back in on him on the mound here. He floats that one in, but it's just high. It goes for ball number 2, and struggling maybe with his command early on here, Wayne. He's
pitching behind, and that's a tough way to to get outs is pitching behind.
And right into the gap on that third base side. And so the Dawgs will have 2 on here, and this inning isn't quite over yet. They're still looking to do damage here in the top of the second. And they'll head to the top of the order. Aiden Krause, who got the party started off for Okotoks in the first, will return. And if you're batting once an inning, that's usually a good sign.
Yeah, that's a good sign if you're the home team. It's not so good sign for us.
Voiko down the strip, and that one is fouled back into the netting. You see that large netting going from dugout to dugout. And right below it is the patio area, a new addition a couple seasons back for the Mavericks, and it's great for functions. Sometimes you get school teachers down there or groups, hockey teams, you name it. It's a great space for all, as this one is high up into the air. Might be a tough play. Charging in here from right and making that play is the glove of Aaron Volcano. So that will close out the top of the second inning. And let's now move ahead and take a look at our head-to-head matchup for tonight and see how these teams have fared against each other in years past. And specifically last year, they only played each other twice throughout the year, and they split it in half, each team going 1-1. The Dawgs winning a lot of games last season, including 7 down the stretch before the playoffs, which eventually we know how that story ended. But 42 total on the season to the Mavs 33. Both teams, however, finished second in their respective divisions. Dawgs doing so in the West and the Mavs doing so in the East. For the Mavs, it was a very different story in the playoffs, losing out in round 1. And on the score sheet, it was also a different story. The Dawgs, one of the highest scoring teams again last year, 475 runs scored total to the Mavs 439 in 2024. That's a large difference, especially considering that both teams were really good last year. It just shows how much better Okotoks was in that stretch. So look back to the mound here as another inning of work for Tambone will soon ensue. And the first batter that he will face is Carter Roth. Down from Stratford,
It'll be our first
Ontario.
look at Carter this year. He's new to the Mavericks, as is Aaron Volcano.
And both from Dawn University, along with Johnny Volcano. So you get the trio from there. Every year you see a package of players come from a certain space. And this year for the Mavs, it's Ottawa University and Doane University leading the charge.
So, folks, just to let you know, I'm on the graphics for the strikes, balls, and outs runs scored. And we're getting used to a new system here. It's our first year with Flow Sports and with the graphics. So bear with us. We'll get really good, I hope, as the season goes along.
It's all about reps, Wayne. And
yep.
Just as these players shake off a little bit of rust at the start here and are adjusting to a new city and playing for a new team, we're doing the same, even though we're from the city. But all a learning experience. And I'm doing lots of the camera stuff as well, so if the flipping back and forth is a bit inconsistent, it's a work in progress.
But as we mentioned earlier, a beautiful night for a baseball game and a great crowd here for the opener for the Mavericks. I'm sticking with my count of 15 or 1,600. Good piece of hitting by
And
Roth.
it is the first hit of this season for the Mavs, and it might be extra bases here. Rounding for second and taking a pit stop in at second is going to be Carter Roth. And heard some things about Carter the other day as it pertains to batting practice. Apparently the sound that the ball had coming off of his bat was electric. He was pounding the baseball. And for a former softball player, he's used to mashing the ball.
I like that piece of hitting because he was down 0-2 in the count and got a pitch up in the zone and was happy just to hit a single to right field. And fortunately, it got by the right fielder, Eisenman, for a stand-up double.
And pardon me, it was fast pitch that Roth played all those years. First strike here onto Aaron Volcano. That'll be tricky this year trying to identify the three Volcanos. Adam, the third of the bunch, not playing in tonight's game. But Aaron is out in the field, and in the infield is Johnny, who we saw earlier up to bat.
And there's a younger Volcano on his way. He's in high school at Vauxhall right now, so I'm not sure we'll have an opportunity to see all four of them on the field together. I doubt it.
Vauxhall has been a pipeline for those Volcano boys. They've all come through that system. Count is 2-1 here to Aaron. And it'll be interesting to see what type of player he is compared to his two brothers, if there are any similarities or if there's any outstanding differences. Here comes Tambone on the pitch, and that one will roll backwards, and so it's an even 2-2 count.
Well, it would be nice if Aaron could at least hit the ball to the right side to get Roth over to third base. Yes, you want to drive him in, but with nobody out, at least get the runner to third. Count is 2-2.
Sitting on deck is the power threat and Evan Morrison. Here's a pitch from Tambone. That one is sent down over to short, and they go to third, and they're going to get Roth.
That's why you want to hit it to the right side of the infield.
It's going to be a trick.
Took off, and that's a ball that you have to see through on that side before you go to third, or what is usually the result is what the result was, an out at third.
So the Mavs will still await their first run of the game here with Roth going down. And Evan Morrison got a hit in his first ever at-bat for the Mavericks. Hometown kid, the only one on the team. Did that last year. And he said he was a little bit nervous coming into the game last year, and you can't imagine the pressure for a young kid wanting to perform in front of people that he knows and a community that he knows so well. We'll see if some of that pressure has been taken off this year as he pounds this one up through center field. So the Mavs have two on here with just the one out, and a good piece of hitting from Morrison, where it was really long ball or bust last year for a majority of the time. Micah Dvorak will step in on that left-hand side, and he's got a new number this year, wearing number 4. Donning that last year was Marshall Burke, who is often the leadoff hitter, and Dvorak wore number 18 for all of last season. He also played in left field for most of that season as well. He's DHing tonight. This one flared up over into left field, and it's going to be grabbed onto there and brought down by Kaufman. So 2 outs here as the Mavs still have 2 on, and Jaden Babiuk will head to the plate. Babiuk said the only thing he was nervous about tonight was that his walk-up song would be Nothing by No One, and that he would have a silent entrance onto the diamond. Well, I can tell you, Jaden's song is playing right now, so he should be all good to go. Here's Tambone. That pitch is near Babiuk. He'll take a step away before re-entering. Babiuk had a great playoff stretch last year. We didn't get into the game a lot during the regular season, but in the playoffs, he was the Mavs' best contact hitter.
It would be nice to get a hit here and score at least 1 run.
Babiuk will foul that one off. Yeah, anything that drops into green grass out there, with the outfielders playing so deep, it would be a long run in, and it's tough running backwards for those infielders. I think he got a good chance to score from second.
Yeah, it depends on how hard you hit it.
That one's blasted, but it will go foul, and both runners were on their horses. They'll have to head back to second and first, respectively.
Any ball that's hit to the left or right of any of the outfielders, I'm sure that Volcano will attempt to score from second.
Babiak's going to send that one up in the air, and it will go foul. Runners will have to hang tight for another moment. Tambone looking to finish off another solid inning of work here. And it's early on, but there isn't a lot of weakness.
No, he's pitching ahead, and that's a key to success for any pitcher.
One's going to roll away from Wrobleski. So it'll be ball number 2. This count even at 2s. And the hits almost even in this game. Despite the Dawgs leading, it's 3-2 in their favor. But the Mavs not far behind.
Well, we had that running miscue that probably cost us a run because Morrison ended up with a single, and I'm sure that Carter Roth would have scored on that. It wasn't hit hard.
And Babiak will swing and miss. Not sure if you caught that one as a bug had gone over the camera, but that will end the second inning, and we will quickly head to the third. The Dawgs remain up 2 as the Mavs leave 2 on the base path. So Connor Crowson returns to the plate here after striking out in his first appearance. It's not something he does often, and one thing he does do often is appear in big moments, and maybe the biggest in Dawgs franchise history last year as he walked off the Moose Jaw Miller Express to claim the three-peat for the Dawgs. And you don't see that often within the WCBL. I'm sure it's only happened a handful of times within playoff games, but in a championship atmosphere to do that, it's exceptional as he gets plunked here by Voiko and will drift off towards first base.
Was that game in extra innings?
It was an extra innings.
Yeah,
You got it.
I remember watching that.
And a tricky start to the season for Medicine Hat as you face both teams that were in that game back-to-back. So a rude awakening in 2025. A bit of a rude awakening there for Crowson as he takes one off the side of the arm. Wrobleski will head up to the plate, the DH for tonight, and Babiak will head to the mound first. So a meeting will start here. Cesar Rodriguez, if you're familiar with that name, he played for the Mavs in 2024. Their pitching coach this year, as he will talk it over with Voiko.
I think right now Voiko he's just got to find that strike zone because, you know, the leadoff hitter has been on all 3 times in these 3 innings, 2 of them by walks. Well, I shouldn't say 2 of them by walks. A walk, a hit batter. Second inning, it was a double. But we got to keep the leadoff hitter of every inning. You got to get him out, and then you can settle down. But right now, Okotoks are keeping the pressure on by getting the leadoff hitter on base.
Blesky will take that one for a ball. Blesky has played behind the plate a lot as well. Quick look off from Voiko. A low one again. Missing high has not been the problem for him. It's that those breaking pitches that he keeps letting get away from himself.
Well, those were fastballs. He's missing with the pitch that he should be able to throw for strikes.
That one punched through the gap, and Okotoks continues to do a good job of that as they got 2 on with no outs here in the top of the 3rd inning.
And now you got trouble with Nash coming up, Nash Kroll. Now he struck out his first at bat, so we'll see whether or not we can throw him something different and keep him off balance. There is action down in the Mavs bullpen.
Now I could be wrong, but I believe he played with former Maverick coach and player Torrey Nelson. One gobbled down there at second base by Roth. So the first out there for the Dawgs. Now that's one thing with Kroll. He can hit the ball very far, but if he misses by an inch, you'll see a lot of pop-ups from him at times too.
Well, he's very aggressive, and I liked what Foster did is he threw him a curveball.
Barry Eisman back up. Eisman with a great piece of hitting into left center field his last time up. Throw from Voiko. This one up into the air. It's going to be a long haul here in left field. And coming down with it is Uzawa.
Good arm. Just about doubled up. Krausen at second base.
And heading up to the plate now is Brandon Paez playing second base.
So 2 pitches, 2 outs. Amazing when you throw those strikes. How you can get outs.
Well, Voiko's got good stuff. It's the locating that's a different story. This one popped up in the air.
3 pitches, 3 outs.
And Roth down with it. So a easier inning for the Mavericks as they escape the top of the 3rd with the first 2 runners getting on. A sigh of relief here at Athletic Park is the Mavs will go back to the bats here in a few short moments. Bottom of the third is just about to head off here. And Jeremy Freeman Jr. making his first appearance at the plate. Mavs will head back up to the top of the order after him as he shoots a high one over into right field. It's got a solid carry, but it'll run into the back of the fence.
He's
Bit of a
go
slip
for
there in center field. He's got so much speed. He'll haul his way into third, and it's a triple for Jeremy Freeman Jr. Bit of a collision there from Kraus in right center field, and allowed Freeman to turn on the jets and get to that destination in third base.
That ball missed being a home run by about 2 feet. It hit about 6 feet up the 8-foot wall.
So Freeman will clean himself off, get an oven mitt on, and get ready to find himself a spot at home. Uzawa comes to the plate.
Top of the order. Let's see if we can at least score 1 run, maybe a couple this inning.
Uzawa in and out of the glove. Freeman thinking about it. Uzawa will get to first. Yusei Uzawa with a great play, and you got the 2 fastest guys on the diamond right now. And Medicine Hat is in business.
2 pitches, 2 hard-hit balls.
And for Croson over at third base, he's just in a predicament because you know that Freeman can run, so you got to keep an eye on him. And
well,
he
did
completely
the right
forgot about Uzawa over at first.
Yeah, he did the right thing. He didn't commit. He waited to see what was going to happen with the ball off of Croson's glove. Now, with UC's speed, I would imagine he might be looking to steal here if he gets a read off of the pitcher Tambone. It's got a good lead.
Volcano
That's in
flips
the gap.
that one out over into right center field. It's going to get down and all the way back to the warning track. Freeman, he'll jog his way into home plate. Uzawa will hold up at third, and it's an RBI double. First run of the season on the board for the Mavs, courtesy of Johnny Volcano. It's got to feel good for Volcano coming back for another season, his third. And you know he's been itching for a moment, and he's got one already. And for Mavericks fans, they get themselves a moment as well. For those in-stadium guests, every time a run is scored, they throw out these little rubber baseballs to kids in the stands. And usually doing it are members of the Mavs pitching crew who are not pitching in the game. Tyler Spruill down there. Danny Retzlaff as well. Even the mascot, Marshall.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's been 4 pitches. A double, a single, and a triple on 4 pitches so far this inning.
So that means that a homer
Freeman
is
led
due.
off. First pitch was a triple, then UC, first pitch, and then Volcano, second pitch. He hits a double. So runners on second and third, nobody out. And Venesti up.
Looking to complete the team cycle in 1 inning here. He'll rattle that one off his foot. Not having any outs is the biggest thing here for the Mavs. That's why they're in such a good spot.
And again, Venesti, the infield's playing back. They're going to let 1 run score.
And this is the guy you want at the plate if you're the Mavericks.
Yeah, exactly.
Venesti will take that one for a strike. You know, just a season ago, Wayne, the Mavs' top of their order was probably the most dangerous in the league. The combination of having Gardner and Burke, Thibodeau and Phillips. I mean, for any pitcher, that is a gauntlet to go through. Ooh, Venesti goes down looking. 3 straight strikes stun him. So that will head up to the plate now, Carter Roth. And Roth had a really good first at-bat here.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. Hit a double. I liked his approach. He just went with the pitch on the outer half, hit it to right field.
one is going to
Good
bounce
block.
around, and then it carried along the shoelace of Wrobleski.
That was a great play by Wrobleski to keep that pitch from getting by him.
So Roth will step back in. That was Anderson behind the plate, rather. I think I've been saying Wrobleski because I'm so used to him being behind the plate.
That is Anderson. Yes, you're right. I followed your lead.
I'll take the blame.
No, he did a great job.
I've also seen Logan Grant behind the plate a lot for the Dawgs in years past.
Good hitters count, 2-0. You don't have to chase a pitch that you don't like here, Carter.
Here it comes from Tambone. That one's going to be knocked down. Slow roll all the way to short. Roth will beat it out over to first. Throw wasn't even attempted. And the Mavs have tied this one at 2. Uzawa comes across the plate. And moving over to third is Volcano. The Mavs have a chance to take the lead here in the bottom of the third.
It's not the swing you want when the count is 2-0. You want to drive the ball. That was kind of a check swing, but you know, sometimes you hit the ball hard and you get nothing, and other times you don't hit it hard and you get an RBI and a single.
I was going to say the one thing you do want is to get runs in, and that's what that swing was able to conjure up. And the throw here to Aaron Volcano is taken.
There's action in the Dawgs bullpen, a left-handed pitcher warming up.
Yeah, we don't have any communication down there, so it's often tough to find out who is warming up. That ball will roll into the middle of the stands, went off a kneecap, and several fans looking around at each other to see who gathered up that loose ball.
The guy in the Expos cap, it went off his hand. Maybe that's why they're not in the league anymore, right?
I was going to say, there hasn't been a lot of errors recently in Expos history, and that is because they have not been a team for years.
Oh, Volcano right on that pitch.
Yeah, he was feeling that one. So Braden Tambone will regather here. Maybe a little bit of added pressure knowing that he's got a guy warming up right behind him, ready to take his place. Low again, so Volcano in a 2-2 count here with just the one out. The last thing he's looking for is a ground ball to short or to second. Third isn't ideal either.
Yeah, you want to stay away from the double play.
And a high pitch to Volcano will send this count full. His brother enjoying that over at third base with a couple of claps.
I would send Roth from first base now, full count. Let's see if you can get one of the infielders moving. There he goes.
And Roth is going to go, and the
4.
catcher Anderson lost his grip. And it didn't matter that Roth was on his horse over to second. He was going to go there anyways. Loaded bases for the Mavericks here. And it looks like time is being called, and a pitching change might be looming. And looking down towards the Dawgs bullpen, it looks like they will have a new arm coming in, and it is a lefty, as you mentioned, Wayne. We'll look to get a number for you in a moment, and we'll have our first pitching change of this season. But speaking of this season, and speaking of home openers in the past, these teams have faced off only once in a home opener before, and it was in Okotoks, or twice in a home opener before, and both were in Okotoks in 2017 and 2018. They have never had a home opener game here at Athletic Park. And usually with how beautiful Seaman Stadium is in Okotoks, you know, the league likes to have a home opener in the ideal park. So let's see who we've
Seth Gurr.
had check in on the mound, and it is Seth Gurr. Gurr coming from the University of Montevello. He's a senior from Coaldale, Alberta, which is around 2.5 hours away from here.
2.5?
Or 2.5, 1.5. Well, you wouldn't say it's 1.5? 1.5. 1.5, that's better. 2.5, not really sure where I was going with that.
So lefty versus lefty. Evan Morrison, who singled his first at-bat, will face Seth Burr, the left-handed pitcher. Great opportunity here for the Mavericks to jump into a big lead. Morrison's got power, and he runs well. And there's good speed on the base paths.
Yeah, Morrison, a well-rounded athlete. Played a little bit of basketball back in his day as well, but primarily known for his skill on the diamond.
Yeah.
And we spoke earlier about some of those pipelines that have funneled into the Mavericks team this year. How about the University of Montevello? We just mentioned Seth Gurr is from there, but they're also home to Connor Croson and Barry Eisman. So that's 3 guys on this team that are all from the same spot. So we'll take a couple more moments here and then see if number 22, Seth Gurr, is ready to go. And he'll be facing off against another 22. So if you're seeing double, then no, it's not your vision. It's actually that there's just 2 22s. Evan Morrison up to the plate. Morrison wore 29 last year, but has made the change.
Well, let's see if Evan, the local boy, can get something going. Mavericks now have 6 hits, 2 runs on 6 hits. 1 away, bases loaded.
Morrison will take a strike on the first pitch.
Looked like a good slider or a curveball from Burr. Catches the outside corner.
And that one close to Morrison, so it's a 1-1 count. Hits are now 6-4 in favor of the Mavericks. And that one is going to roll out of the glove of Anderson. Not far enough away for Volcano to think about stealing home. So the runners will stay put here. Morrison in a favorable spot. Here's Gurr. That one rolled along. It's going to take a long
run.
Roll, and we'll get down to first. But a nice piece of hitting there for Morrison. He didn't need the powerful shot. He just needed one that took enough time to make it to second and gave Volcano enough time to come in. And the Mavericks have a 3-2 lead here in the bottom of the third. First lead of the game.
I don't think he'll be happy with that. Bases loaded, you want to hit the ball hard somewhere, and although he got a run in, I'm not sure that he'd be happy with that.
If they win 3-2, I think he would be happy with it.
Yeah. Still, as a hitter, though, you know, you got a 2-1 count, and you get sawed off.
Dvorak at the plate. Just find some of that contact that he had last year, a bouncer into the body armor of Anderson. Gurr will retreat back to the mound. This is a pressure spot for Seth Gurr. Never easy for any pitcher to go into it. Here's a slow roll that grips to the grass and gets down to first. Crowell will seal that on the other end, and that does it for the bottom of the third. The Mavs, they put up 3 and take the lead. Their first of the game, but the Dawgs, they're hungry for more as they will come out hot here at the top of 4.
Now it's cooling off.
Lou Anderson will start off the inning for the Dawgs as they trail behind by 1. On the mound, still Foster Voiko, and the first pitch that Anderson sees, he rifles it over into right field. So 1 aboard here for the Dawgs, and that will send up to the plate Landon Kaufman, the left fielder. Kaufman, not a very big player, as he slots in on that left-hand side, at least from our view. The throw from Voiko results in a swing and a miss. Mavericks and Dawgs have played a lot in the playoffs over the years. So although these players might not be familiar with each other, these franchises are, as this one has popped up over into right field. And coming down with that ball and making the play is Aaron Volcano. So back to what I was saying about their playoff meetings. Well, over the years, they've met 6 times since 2010. Met in 2011, 2012, 2013, 14, 15, and then in 2023. So they had quite an exceptional run there from 2011 to 2015. This one is launched over into right field, and getting under it is Volcano. Not enough mustard on that hit, although it came screaming off the bat. That's one thing that the Dawgs have been able to generate is good contact off of their hits despite trailing. The Mavericks haven't had as much of that tonight. So Dawgs will be at the top of their order again with Aiden Krause. Two outs here. One on. Voiko looking to get through another inning with success. He helped the Mavs put up a 0 in the top of the 3rd. Pitch from Voiko, and that's a swing and a miss.
Yeah, last inning, Voiko was in trouble with a hit batter and then a single to lead off the inning. And then I think 3 pitches later, he had 3 outs. And he seems to be pitching ahead here again this inning, so that's good to see.
And another swing and a miss. And it's interesting, after that conversation he had with Cesar Rodriguez on the mound, the narrative completely flipped for him.
There goes Anderson.
Babiuk in and out of the glove. Throw is high, and it will roll out of the glove of Roth. So safe at second will be Anderson.
Babiuk threw that from his knees. I don't think anybody was expecting Anderson to steal, and I think he might have been out.
Yeah,
had we caught the ball.
Yeah, the aggressive approach to the Dawgs game is working wonders.
Yeah, stolen base.
Babiuk trying to hold that one on the corner, wasn't successful, and so it's a full count. A crucial out here for the Mavericks to get out of this top of the 3rd. You don't want to give up a run and have the Dawgs square this one at 3. This one along the ground. Vanesti diving out from his feet to first, and it's not in time.
Krause got down the line in a hurry.
Well, and it was an excellent play by Vanesti to dive out, get that. The fact he even got the throw off was impressive.
Well, the good thing is that he kept the ball on the infield so that the run couldn't score.
And the one guy you didn't want to see with runners on the corners is Connor Krausen. This one bounces in front of Babiuk. He'll keep it ahead of himself. And for Krausen, he's yet to do any big damage in this game, but if there's a spot, it's right now.
Well, I would think Kraus is going to be running at first base pretty soon.
And a high throw over the head of Morrison. This will allow one run to score. Kraus is steamrolling into third. He's going to go home, and he'll stop up at the last moment. He really considered it. And this game is tied at 3.
Yeah, not a wild pitch, just an error by the pitcher. I like the idea of throwing over there because I think Kraus was going. But great intentions, not great execution.
And it's just been unconventional the way that these runs have been scored so far. A couple of soft hits and some good base running, I guess, has resulted in run production. That time it didn't really need to be any superb base running. It had kind of planted itself.
Yeah, you had lots of room out in right field. That ball, there's a lot of open territory in left foul line and in right field foul line.
Babiak has gone to the mound quite a few times tonight to talk with Voiko. It hasn't seemed like they've had any chemistry or been on the same page at all, and I guess that comes with being new teammates and seeing
everything's
a new face
new
on the other side.
Right now, shutting this down right here would be good.
And that's a strike from Voiko as he tries to work himself back in this count. This one wrapped around and sent foul towards the Mavs bullpen.
A little bit of a hanging curve ball, but he got away with it and evens the count.
Sent up into center field. Freeman gathers himself under it and makes the play. So that's the third out of this top of 4 as the Dawgs leave one stranded at third, but they tie this one at 3. Wasn't conventional, as we mentioned earlier, but it got the job done, and we're all square between the two red and white squads here from Athletic Park.
So 8-9-1 for the Mavs. Let's see if Babiak can get us going.
And they announced
I'm sorry.
Micah Dvorak.
Yeah, I'm on the wrong score.
No, you got it. You got it right, Wayne. It is Jaden Babiak. They announced it wrong in the in-house crew over there.
Well, that's okay, because I was thinking, what?
So it is Jaden Babiak at the plate, the Valley City State catcher. He does a lot more than just be a catcher there, though. He does play in the infield as well, plays a little short, plays a little third. And he also had his own podcast throughout the year, so he's quite the talker. I'm not sure if that talk converts to trash talk on the diamond, but He does have a face for radio, as he's said in his own words. That is not me making that up. That is a real quote. Here's the throw in, and Babiuk will shatter that one over to center field. It's a long way to go, and it's a long play that is made by Aiden Krause. Had him backpedaling a long ways. That's the deepest part of the park for Jaden Babiuk, is he got all of that ball.
Do you know what that's called? Warning track power. The dimensions here at Athletic Park, down left field and right field lines, 350 feet, and in center field, 380. I think if Babiuk would have hit that down the field, down the foul line, that could have been out.
Freeman will take that one for second strike at the count. And a big-time hit in his first at-bat had Krause stumbling in the outfield. It's a triple to start his Mavs career.
Yeah, that was off the wall, the top of the wall.
Freeman from Chicago, Illinois. Wayne, I want you to take a guess which Chicago team he grew up rooting for.
Was he from north side or south side Chicago? Because if he's south side, he's White Sox. If he's north side, he's Cubs.
That's a good question. That's a question that I can ask him in the future, is be questioning the swing on that one down on strikes. But he is a Chicago White Sox fan, which is territory that is not fulfilling at the moment.
No, that's a lot of hurt in that organization.
So Yusei Uzawa up to the plate. We've already seen the speed from him today.
He's 1 for 2. Line drive off the third baseman's glove.
One low for ball one. 2 quick outs here in this bottom of 4 for the Mavs. And coming up after the bottom of the 4th inning, we'll take a look at 2 of the superstars playing in today's game for each team, and both happen to be in the infield. Uzawa will reconnect himself here. Gurr will do the same over at the mound, as it's a 2-0 count. And a strike is on the board for Gurr. Uzawa not a fan of that one as he looked back at the umpire. Gurr will gather. Throw on the way, and that one low again. That ball is getting real dirty down there. I'm sure they've been switching them up, but in this count alone against Uzawa, he's found there more often than not. That time it was low again, so Uzawa will have his rightful place at first base. And it will send up Johnny Volcano.
Volcano hit a double his last at-bat. Drove in the first run for the Mavs.
And for this Mavs team, in 2023, we saw them be real aggressive on the base path, and they had a lot of speed within that roster. In 2024, they still had lots of that speed, but base stealing was not a part of their game plan. In 2025, they're looking to get back to the same sort of formula.
Well, it's an exciting brand of baseball when you use your speed. And a lot of times it's a coach's philosophy as to whether or not they want to use their speed or let the big hitters do.
And Uzawa will try and use his speed here, and that ball was thrown way off. Uzawa thought about 3 as it made its way into the green grass in center field. But Uzawa will stay put over at second, and You say in a real good spot to score here if Volcano can put some solid contact on it, something the Mavs have been digging for in this game.
Well, with Usawa's speed, a single to the outfield, and I'm pretty sure he's going to try to score.
Volcano going to hit that one over to second, and it's off of the glove.
Oh,
Uzawa will come all the way. A great throw, and it's in and out of the glove of Anderson. Volcano will pause it first, and the Mavs have the lead back. It is 4-3.
That's what speed does. It puts pressure on the defense, and it causes everything to kind of speed up to the point where it's tough to control.
And that ball was pounded over towards second base. Paez just wasn't in the right location to receive it. And for Volcano, once again, I know it's early in this game, but the clutch factor is reignited every time he steps onto that athletic park dirt.
He won't get an RBI for that. But great speed by Usawa allows the Mavericks to take the lead.
Tyler Venesti hasn't taken off in this game yet. We'll see if this is the at-bat where he gets it done. Gurr the throw, Venesti the fan, and that one will go foul.
Yeah, he struck out looking his last at-bat with the bases loaded, I believe. No runners on second and third.
Venesti spending his...
He doesn't do that very often.
Venesti spending his third year with the Mavericks organization, fourth year in the WCBL, former member of the Edmonton Prospects, pre-hiatus, who are now the Energy City Cactus Rats. Volcano taken off to second. He's in there with time. It has been a base running parade for both sides. Make Venesti's job a little bit easier here in a 2-1 count.
Well, it also puts another man in scoring position if Venesti can hit the ball somewhere.
We saw that a lot with the 2024 Mavs. Lots of guys in scoring position. It was that knockout punch that, especially at the start of the season, they didn't have a lot of it.
Yeah. This game's back and forth. It's a fun game.
Venesti will wiggle the bat a few times. Gurr waits. Takes a quick look, and the pitch is on the way. Venesti fights that one off, and it will go far out of the reach of Anderson and into the stands. And a kid with a Mariners hat, I believe, latching onto that one. So Venesti will readjust here. Wearing the number 8 again this year for the third year in a row for the Mavs. And that's because of his love for the Washington Capitals and the greatest goal scorer in NHL history, Alexander Ovechkin.
Is that the reason?
It indeed is. Throw to Venesti is low, so it's a full count.
That was a good take.
You know, the growth for Venesti has been huge since his first year. Really, unless it was in his wheelhouse year one, he had no chance at it. He's become much more of a diverse hitter.
He and Volcano looked over a match 2 years ago.
And he didn't go. So one place that Venesti will go is off to first base. 2 on. It's the 2 V's for the Mavericks as Carter Roth heads to the plate, the cleanup hitter. And a good spot for the Mavericks here as they look to build on this 4-3 lead.
Roth's 2 for 2 with an RBI his last at bat. I want to see him drive something. Oh, nice cut.
Was that the driving swing you were looking for?
Yeah, I want to see him be aggressive. His first at bat, he was down 0-2 and hit a ball out to right field. And then his last at bat, he was up 2-0 and kind of got sawed off on a pitch that I would like to see him take a rip at when you're up in the count.
This one punched along the ground, and it's into the glove. A nice swiping play there to get out number 3 by Paez. So the Mavs leave 2 on, but they do get 1 run, which gives them a 4-3 lead. And speaking of one of the batters in that inning, Tyler Venesti was left on base there with a walk, and he is a part of tonight's head-to-head, which also features the Okotoks Dawgs' Connor Croson. Both infielders were named All-Stars last year, and they will look to do the same coming into this season. For Croson, he had 67 hits last year, a real high total within the WCBL. Venesti had 54, really solid for the amount of games that he played. Same with the RBIs. Croson 55 to Venesti's 30, and we know his power is real great as well, as Croson with 9 homers to Venesti's 4. But what isn't shown in this graphic is the 367 batting average that Venesti had. And in some of the advanced batting average statistics, Venesti had a chokehold on all of them over Croson. So although our graphic is limited to just 3 stats for this little showing, Venesti is a real competitor, and he is right there alongside Croson for one of the better players in this entire league. It looks like we got a new arm on the mound here for the Mavericks.
Number 21, Tyler Spruill.
I believe it's number 28, Wayne, Luis Diaz.
Oh, is it?
So Diaz, the second member
right.
of Ottawa University to be featured in this game, hailing from Mexico. There's 4 foreign-born players on this team. Diego Centella, who we talked about earlier. He's from Panama. And then one other still to come in Hikaru Makami from Japan. So there'll be 2 Japanese players, hopefully, to join the Mavs this season. And the throw down to second there. Not much of a warm-up needed for Luis Diaz. As he will tap gloves with Venesti over at third. And walk back up to the mound and make his Mavericks debut. And Jacob Wrobleski will be the first guy that he faces. It's going to be 3 tough competitors for Diaz to go at here, as Kroll and Eisman will follow. And it's a rude awakening, in his first pitch of his WCBL debut is driven out to center field, courtesy of Wrobleski.
That's his second hit of the game for Wrobleski.
And Nash Kroll, who hasn't had quite the thunderous start that we've seen in this barn before, will step back up to the plate. Hits are all tied up now, 7-7. Diaz, that pitch far away from Kroll. He doesn't offer at it, not one bit. Diaz quickly back over to first base. Morrison will glove it down. And staying put there is Wrobleski. Here's a throw high to Kroll. Kroll was a part of that 2023 squad that faced off against the Mavericks in the final. There's only one Maverick who played in that game that is still currently with the team. This one down over to third, and Venesti will play it to second. Trying to get the double play, and it's in time. The guy who was on that 2023 roster for the Mavs, Tyler Venesti, gets it started, and the Mavs rally in a big way.
That's a nice way to snuff out a rally.
So Diaz, I'm sure that calms the nerves a bit. And he'll face Barry Eisman now, looking to get out of this top of the 5th inning. Diaz, a beamer there that falls for a ball.
He was taking all the way, knowing that I think there's only been like 4 pitches thrown this inning, so he wants to give his pitcher a little breather as well.
Diaz will dive this one in for a strike. The count gets to 2-1. There is another body warming up over there for the Dawgs now, so I'm not sure if we're going to see Gurr for another inning of work, if they'll go deeper into their bullpen. Obviously, all arms are available for the Dawgs. That's the beauty of the first game of the year. The only one potentially not available on the Mavericks side is Luke Barrientos. He got in at noon today, so I'm not sure he's ready to go to the mound yet.
It's Cade Langford out in the Dawgs bullpen, tall right-hander from Houston, Texas.
Be the second pitcher from Texas to pitch in this game. Foster Voiko from El Paso, and a swing and a miss.
That's a great curveball.
Good work there from Diaz. Had a bit of a shaky start, but he recovers, and a double play backs him up as well. The Mavs keep their lead afloat here as they surpass the top of the 5th inning. And before we head to the bottom of the 5th inning, we want to take a chance to shout out one of our sponsors here, Town Place Suites by Marriott, the official hotel of the Medicine Hat Mavericks for about the 20th year in a row, it feels. But, you know, they've always done great for us, so we have to do great for them by shouting them out here. And if you're ever in the Medicine Hat area and you're looking for a place to stay for the night, Town Place Suites is the place to go. And not just Medicine Hat, but they have locations all over Canada. So if you wanted to see a ball game out town, or maybe just visiting any part of Canada, Town Place Suites by Marriott, your place to stay. So thank you to them once again, and not so much a thank you to the players of last year, but it's important to mention that there's lots of turnover from year to year, and many changes as well. And for the Mavericks, they had 3 workhorses last year who all had a first name beginning with J, and they were dominant throughout the year. That's Josh Landry, Jacob Petersheim, and Jack Novak. They were all spectacular. Landry had his Kodak moment with 9 Ks in a playoff game versus the Saskatoon Berries. He had a 1-3 record throughout the regular season with a 3.15 ERA and 23 strikeouts. Jack Novak was really part of the Colorado State Pueblo 1-2 punch between him and Petersheim, going 4-0 in the regular season with a 5.89 ERA, a little bit high, but boy, could he throw strikes, 47 of them on the year. And he started 6 games for the Mavs in 2024. And Jacob Petersheim, 5-1 last season with a 3.25 ERA, one of the best among qualified starters in the WCBL, 43 strikeouts, and he started his Mavericks career 5-0. So those 3 bodies will be missed for the Mavericks this season, and we will look to see who stands out within the Mavs rotation this time around. And who knows, maybe it will be another Colorado State Pueblo member, as Danny Retzlaff is on the Mavs staff this year, and we will await his introduction to not only Athletic Park, but this Mavericks lineup. And we now get an introduction to this bottom of the 5th inning with a new pitcher on the mound, I believe. And it is Cade Langford out there. First player he will face off against is the right fielder in Aaron Volcano, and it's high. Langford, coming from Southwest Baptist University. He's a sophomore there. One wrenched down the left field line and foul. Not able to make contact there was Aaron Volcano. And if you notice, a common trend between both Volcanos out there is neither of them is wearing batting gloves. That's been one thing we've seen with Johnny throughout the years, and it looks like Aaron's got the same system. Bouncer in the dirt as it falls into the pocket of the umpire. And Langford will now return to the mound. Mavericks holding to a 1-run lead here in the bottom of the 5th. And as we saw last season, they'll need to build on it. This one is punched out over into left field, and it comes down into the glove of Aiden Krause. Krause has had a busy night out there so far. And now coming up to the plate is Evan Morrison.
Morrison 1 for 3 tonight with an RBI.
Morrison will hammer this one out. It's
He
tracking a
one
long
well.
ways. Did he get all of it all the way to the wall? And it's gone! Evan Morrison with a solo shot, the first one to go over the boards in 2025. And Evan Morrison extends this Mavericks lead to 5-3.
That's not easy to hit an off-field or opposite field home run, and he hit it well. You don't hit them usually as far, but you can still hit them out, hitting them to the opposite field, and he showed that.
And we were standing out there the other day looking at the center field camera, me and Wayne, and Evan was taking batting practice, and we were a little bit wary of whether he would hit one over there. Didn't at that time, but he obviously saved it for the right time as he goes far into left. So Micah Dvorak up to bat now.
Good start for Evan this season. Struggled a little bit last year, but again, he was only 18 last year, so now you got 2 years of college under your belt, a year in the WCBL, and hopefully that's a sign of things to come.
Yeah, those 2 years spent at Western Texas College. But he's got a new home now for the next collegiate season. Going to Hastings College.
Dvorak at the plate.
He's one of 3 members from Tabor College. Xander Roberts.
I
Garrett
liked Micah
Levesque.
last year. I thought he had a good season for us. He runs well. Plays a good outfield when he was playing in the outfield. And he sprays the ball all over. He's tough to defend.
And one thing that we noticed with him last year is it took him a while to get going.
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
As he goes out at first here. But once he got rolling, you knew what to expect with him. And he was just old reliable all the time. And he creeped his way up the batting lineup as well.
Yes, he did. Yeah, he started way down, and I think at the end of the year he was batting 5th.
So Jaden Babiak gets his name called correctly up to the plate this time as he's going to step in and face Langford. Tough start for Langford. You get brought into the game and you give up a home run and against the first batter you face. See if he can limit the damage here with 2 outs as he's had a bit of a recovery but still has to get by Babiak. Babiak, a swing and a miss so hard that it knocked the guard off of his arm. He'll take a second to grip that thing back on and then get back to his approach. And Wayne should mention, we have some exciting things coming up on the broadcast this year. In past years, we've been very limited, but we are thankful for the opportunity to do more this year. And we're going to be doing lots of things weekly. And, you'll get used to the system eventually of what we're doing on each day. We'll have more on that in a moment as we get back to Babiak. Babiak, a swing and a miss, and the count goes to 2-2. Langford looking for one more strike, one more out. This count will run full. Babiak doesn't bite on it, and to first he'll go. So a walk issued by Langford. Babiak on, Jeremy Freeman Jr. will come up. So back to what I was mentioning about the segments for a second. Heads up that the Mavericks don't play many Monday or Wednesday games, so for those 2 days of the week, you won't be seeing any special content when they do play. But Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or not Wednesday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday are the days you'll have to keep an eye on. Maybe circle it on your calendar. Put in a reminder in your phone. Write it on your hand. There's a couple ways you can remember.
Yeah, just a reminder again, we'll be on the air at 6:50 so that we can give you some of the pregame information.
And when the game ends, be sure to stick around for our postgame show, which would be a quick 5-minute recap detailing what happened in today's game and what you got to look forward to for the next game that's upcoming.
So Preston Tchiniuk is warming up in the Dawgs bullpen, left-handed pitcher from Okotoks.
Langford gets a swing and a miss from Freeman. And he'll need one more of those to squeeze himself out of this inning. That one is low, so the count goes to 2-2.
Boy, no wind, plus 29 degrees, beautiful evening. Light should be coming on, I would think, soon.
And down goes Freeman. So that will close out the bottom of the 5th inning, but we got some exciting stuff. Stick around here as we detail what we have for promos coming up throughout the year. And Wayne, this is a bit of a collaboration between the both of us. We've always wanted to work something like this in, and now is kind of the time where it's all hatched. Can you take me through a couple of things that are going to be happening, and then I'll share the date that they'll happen? Oh, Wayne doesn't want any piece of this. Okay, so I
don't have this sheet.
Oh.
No, I gotta fix this.
You can hear us whispering
to
each other. These mics are really good quality. This is an upgrade from years past.
I'm trying to get to the right inning. It is the 6th inning.
Wayne is on the score clock again tonight. Or again tonight, for the first time tonight.
Yes.
But Tuesday nights, anyways, we'll be doing trivia. Every Tuesday night, you can expect a trivia question. We're not going to hear your answer, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And there's no way we can chat with you. But Tuesday night trivia will be our first segment. Thursday will be when Thursday night will be. Thursday isn't tonight, though.
I think Tuesday was going to be What's Up in the Hat.
Oh, right. Tuesday is What's Up in the Hat. I'm looking at the wrong sheet here. I got the old one. Tuesday is What's Happening in Medicine Hat. So we will detail what's happening in our city, and then maybe if you are happening to come here at some point, then we can give you a couple suggestions of maybe what to do. Thursday night will be obscure rules, funky stories, but we are going to do that tonight instead as well, and tomorrow we're going to do trivia. So we're going to flip-flop it because we got to have something fun for opening night. Friday night is going to be our player spotlight. We're going to give you a couple of interesting facts about each player on this team, and we're going to start with all of the returning players in order, and then after that, get to some of the new Mavericks players coming in this year as we come into the top of the 6th here. On Sundays, I know I'm skipping Saturdays, but that one's a real fun one, so we'll get back to it. On Sundays, we're going to be talking about streaks, potential records that are going to be broken, maybe hot teams within the WCBL. We'll be highlighting them within a segment. Pitch is on the side.
Diaz has got a very sharp, late-breaking curveball. If he can keep it down in the zone, he's going to be very effective like that.
And then I believe now that we got all mixed up with where trivia is, that's actually coming on the Saturday. So if you didn't get any of that, I don't blame you, because I don't think I even got any of that of what I was saying. But
well, we'll repeat it for you as the time goes on. Lots of things happening, and we hope that you get a chance to come to Medicine Hat and visit, especially for those of you that are out of the country and out of province. There's a Jazz Fest, there's an exhibition and stampede. We'll let you know all about those things as we get closer to them.
Usually Wayne will let you know about the Jazz Fest like 2 weeks before it happens. It's a trend that's gone on the last 2 years, but you will know that it's a thing.
Ooh, that fastball just missed.
Maybe not the count that Diaz was looking for, but it looks like he's in control with his pitches, and he's throwing some tricky pitches to hit. This one is mashed over into left field, however, and it will get down for a base hit. Uzawa will throw that, and it sent Volcano all the way onto his back. So the first man on here for the Dawgs as Lou Anderson makes his way to the plate. Paez on first. And we talked about those segments that are going to happen each game. One thing that will happen every single game is a little fun segment where we talk about some universities that these players have gone to, some of their hometowns. Once in a while, we'll maybe sprinkle in a little bit of medicine hat things as well, but we'll save that mostly for what's happening in the hat. And we have one of those coming up, so stay tuned for after this 6th inning. Diaz will throw that one, and it catches the left-hand side of that plate from our side. Diaz is right.
That was a balk.
Ooh. Not something you see very often here in the WCBL, but Diaz called for it.
So there's no count. I believe he quick pitched. I don't think he came set, and I think that's why he was called for the balk.
So a big opportunity here for the Dawgs with a runner in scoring position and no outs. You got to feel like now that we've entered the 6th, you got to start to chip away about getting one back per inning. The Dawgs usually don't have to worry much about offense.
Yeah, you're down into the 7, 8, 9 part of the order, so hopefully you can get a couple of outs here. Hopefully 3. Babiak's having a real trouble back there. Just catching the ball.
A little bit of butter in the glove. Diaz will monitor, throw it ahead, and get a long foul there from Anderson. Diaz will plant, send it forward, and get a foul ball up in the air. Vanesti will have a tracker on it, and he'll get to it. So a crucial first out here for the Mavericks. Still that runner on second in Brandon Paez. For the Dawgs, they'd rather be at the top of their order here. They got Landon Kaufman in the 8th spot and Aiden Munoz in the 9th spot. So it'll be a tall test for these two.
Kaufman is 0 for 2 tonight.
Kaufman will send it up the middle. Volcano to it, over to first, and he gets that one to Morrison for out number 2. So 2 quick ones here for the Mavs after a balk from Diaz to start the inning. But if this is what you're going to see from Luis Diaz all year long, you like what you're seeing take shape out there.
I'd like to see if he's got a change-up. So far, I've only seen fastball, curveball. But he's got that great curveball.
A strike there to Munoz.
And I like the way he works quickly out there. It keeps your defense in the game.
And it's very rhythmic. It seems like it's the exact same time that he takes between each. As this one gets out of the reach of Vanesti. Run will come in to score. Throw over to second base as Uzawa will limit Munoz to 1. But Munoz gets the most important thing, and that's a run batted in. And it's a one-run game once again here at Athletic Park. There's been a cat fight here tonight.
Yeah, that's a good piece of hitting. Hit it down the line, and you can't be everywhere on the field. I like the way Aaron Volcano in right field came in to cover that throw from Uzawa to second base. Obviously knows the game.
Here's Kraus as that one gets Babiuk into the splits.
Nine hits for Okotoks, 8 for the Hat.
A strike there from Diaz gets this count to 1-1. Yeah, it's been tight-knit all game long. It's never really felt like anyone's had the upper hand. And coming into this game, a lot of people had favored Okotoks just for the fact that they are champions. This one's sent into center field. Takes a lengthy bounce to Freeman. Long throw. Vanesti. And they get him. What a throw from Jeremy Freeman Jr. And the exclamation point is put on by Vanesti. The Mavs, they survived the top of the sixth. They give up one, but they maintain the lead. We'll see if the energy from a play like that can convert into some good at-bats here from Medicine Hat.
That was a great one-hop throw right on target from Freeman to Vanesti.
So the Dawgs will be left scratching their heads a bit. That's not an easy play to make. What would you say, Wayne? What if you're, 1 in 10, 1 in 20? What type of play would that be?
Well, that's a play that the outfielders have to make. And the difficulty with it is, again, when you're new to the field, you're not sure how the infield is going to play on the bounce when you're an outfielder. They can't practice everything when they get to a new field, and they're coming from all over the world to come and play in this league. Again, I think Freeman came up. He just made an excellent throw. But again, that's a throw that you're going to expect him to make probably 7 or 8 out of 10 times. And he did it. And great for Vanesti to hang in there, because again, you're not exactly sure how the ball's going to come from the outfielder. He can, if he's not throwing it over the top, it could be sliding off to the side when it hits the dirt, but good play on both sides. And I like the fact that Okotoks challenged on that. It had to be a bang-bang play to get him, and if the throw was to either side a little bit, he was going to be safe. So good play on both sides. I like Okotoks' aggressiveness. I like Freeman's throw and Vanesti's catch.
Well, and then the other factor there is how fast the player is that's running into third base.
Yes.
And slipping my mind of who was running it, I believe it was Munoz who made that round there, but he seems like a fairly speedy shortstop, so I guess that enhances the difficulty of the play a little bit.
Yes.
But nonetheless, play was made, and Freeman did a good job converting on it.
Well, you like to see good plays, and that was a good play all the way around.
And it's a good play regardless of the level that you analyze the game at. If you're new to it, if you're just in the crowd for some enjoyment, the atmosphere that comes from a play like that is something that everybody wants to be around.
Exactly. So the top of the order for the Mavs in the bottom of the sixth.
And it's Yusei Uzawa.
And we've got Cade Langford on the mound for Okotoks. I believe it's Cade Langford.
It was before.
It's Preston.
I think they got a new pitcher out there now. Yes, Preston Tocheniak.
Yeah. Sorry, folks.
As we mentioned before, no communication down to either dugout, and we don't have names on players, so we until they're on the mound, we don't get the official word on the pitching change. There's Tocheniak. That one will catch for a strike, and Uzawa agrees.
Yeah. I like it. He took the first 2 pitches. He's going to wait for the pitcher to throw a strike before he's going to swing away.
And another one in a similar place is Yusei's going to take 2 on that half.
I think he's got such good bat control that being down 0-2 or 2-2 doesn't bother him.
That one a little bit further, just baiting him to chase. Feel like Yusei could become a fan favorite here. A speedy contact hitter.
I think he and Freeman. That's his second walk.
And Uzawa will work a walk. So Johnny Volcano, who's had a really solid night defensively, offensively. The maturity, we talked about this earlier with him and Vanesti from year one, but year to year, even during the first game of the year, it's so blatantly obvious.
Good lead at first by UC. He's trying to draw a throw, I think.
Volcano will get hit with a strike on the first pitch. Volcano not just a threat with a bat in his hand, but Uzawa's a threat with the legs, and he might be digging for three. Uzawa all the way down to third base, trouble in left field, and unable to corral it for a lengthy period of time. There was Kaufman.
Got picked off first, but again with the speed, he put pressure on Crowell at first, and Crowell threw it in the dirt. And it got past the shortstop, and you see went to third base.
And as I was saying about Volcano before, he's a rock star when he's got a bat in his hand, but also a musician. He's part of a family band called Lunch Date. They performed here during the Mavericks Fan Fest, and he's a talented musician.
Count is 1-1. Corners are playing infield playing back.
Volcano will wait on that one, and smart to do so.
This is a good hitter's count, 2-1.
Volcano
Attaboy.
with a weak one, and it's going to be caught. Good positioning there from the start from Paez. Might have been cheating a little. Uzawa's going to come in, and he's going to score. Oh, heads up base running from Yusei Uzawa.
Not sure Paez wanted to throw that ball, but he decided to throw it home anyway with no chance of a play until it got past the catcher. So an error on the second baseman.
And I'm not sure anybody or any of his teammates knew that was coming either, because his pitcher, no coverage there, obviously. And, I mean, you can't blame him. He wasn't aware that that throw was coming.
Well, there was no need to throw it home because UC wasn't going anywhere.
So the Mavericks have now a 6-4 lead as they add another one on. High one to Vanesti.
But again, that's what speed does on the base paths. You put a little pressure on the other team, and it creates havoc.
And it's clear Coach Thornhill's squad is not afraid to take chances and not afraid to use their God-given abilities.
Well, that's all you see right there. Like his idea of making something happen. He's kind of like Krause on Okotoks. Get on the base, and they create havoc.
Vanesti will take that one for a strike. He's behind in the count. He has 2 strikes to his name. And a little bit of a delay here with a shoelace tie for Tcheniak.
You know, those leadoff walks always seem to come around to hurt you, don't they?
It's a common theme throughout the WCBL. We see it every year. And unless you have a lot of double play luck, it will always bite. Count is 2-2 to Vanesti. And this is a good sign for the Mavs when your big dog isn't going and you're still producing runs against a team that is a perennial contender. Vanesti will foul that one backwards. A couple of the dangers here at Athletic Park. That foul ball that Vanesti just hit is prime real estate for a car's windshield. The parking lot just behind Athletic Park, and at least once a game somebody's getting dinged up.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that baseballs cause so much damage when they hit glass.
Just over near that parking lot, the old Medicine Tigers Arena, called the Arena. It sits with nobody in it for now as they moved out to Co-op Place a couple years ago, just outside of Medicine Hat. So Venesti's hanging around over here in a full count.
Yeah, he's having a good at-bat. He's fouled off a couple of tough pitches.
Venesti hammers this
well.
one. It's looping. It's going a long ways, and it is off the wall. Venesti will be in there with a double. That got so close to getting over. Both him and Freeman looked like they had homers in this game, and neither able to climb over the fence.
Yeah, he hit that quite well. You could tell right away that it jumped off his bat. That was a great at-bat. Now to pick up that run would be huge. Get a 3-run lead. Roth at the plate. He's 2 for 3 with an RBI.
And
Grounded out to second his last at-bat, so let's see what he can do against this lefty.
But as you noted, Wayne, it was that first swing he took in that bat, that aggressive swing, and he does so once again. He's chasing that first pitch. Similar to another hitter who hit high in the order last year, Brody Gardner. Always liked going after that first pitch. Roth will wait on that one.
You know, I think Mike Richards, the home plate umpire, has done a great job so far tonight. Been very consistent with his calls.
Umpires in baseball are like defensemen in hockey. When you don't say their name at all, you know they're doing well.
Yeah, that's true. I think earlier on in the game we kind of questioned one call, and we got one and had one maybe not given to us, but that's baseball.
It all shakes itself out, and this one will send Paez backwards, then forwards again. He gets to it eventually, but he was shimmying and shaking to make that play happen. And heading to the plate now is Aaron Volcano. You can see Venesti patiently waiting over at second base. He'd love to add another run, and against a team like the Dawgs, you'll take as many as you can get. If you can go hog wild in an inning, you need to.
Yeah, exactly. You never know which run's going to be the winning run. I think Aaron Volcano is due here.
We'll send this one off over to right field towards a gallery of kids, and it will land, and I'm sure there will be lots of fights over that ball.
It's always good to see kids at the ballpark. There's about 15 of them or so down in the right field beyond the bullpen of the Dawgs.
And it's funny, over the generations, it's different kids. It's always that right field side.
Yeah, and it's always the same age kids every year, even though we've been here for 5 years. Those kids never grow up.
Volcano will foul that one backwards. Evan Morrison waiting on deck. Avs didn't have to wait long for their first home run at home last year either, as Nick Thibodeau hit one over the fence in his first game at Athletic Park last year. And Morrison follows the trend and keeps that streak alive. Volcano, a drifter. This one is just placed so well into right field. Venesti, he'll walk his way into home plate, sliding into second. Don't know if he even needed to, was Aaron Volcano. And Wayne, were you ever right? He was due for a hit, and that's just about as good as you can hit one down that right field side.
He was just very calm up at the plate. You could tell he was zeroing in, and that was a great piece of hitting.
Yeah, a veteran approach from a veteran player. Maybe not a veteran with the with the Mavericks, so to say, but he is a veteran in university at Doane College, a senior. Strike to Morrison here. Mavs have a 3-run lead here in the bottom of the 6th inning.
Hits are even at 10 apiece.
Morrison takes another strike. You know, last year, any pitch that was even close, Morrison was taking a hard hack at. And a lot more patience being shown tonight. Foul that one backwards.
Well, I hope he knows he can wait a split second longer, and he proved it his last at bat. He hit it opposite field home run, and that just shows a little bit of maturity. Let the ball travel. You don't have to get barrel out front on everything.
And strike 3 looking. So that closes out this 6th inning, but not without a little bit of damage on the Mavs, and they put up 2 runs on the Dawgs and extend their lead 2-3. So while we're headed off to the top of the 7th inning, let's take a little bit of a closer look at the park we're at tonight, Athletic Park. Well, when did it open? Well, that was 1978, and if you ask someone like me who was born in 2002, that's a long, long time ago. It's located in Medicine Hat, Alberta, of course, and just behind it is the South Saskatchewan River, which flows, and it's sometimes greeted by baseballs if someone hits it far enough. It's had 2 major renovations. The most recent one included a brand new, would you call it a pergola? Would that be the?
You mean the one a couple of years ago?
A couple of years ago with
it's a covered area for the fans in the third base side, the home team side. So it's a roof.
A roof. That's a better way of saying it than a pergola. Covering up that left field side, it can get very sunny here, as we said, the sunniest city in Canada off the top of the show, and a new installment there. Brand new office out front, brand new gate around the side. It had so many beautiful things put in. The dugout deck, the patio down below, which we mentioned earlier, that was a part of that. The net was a part of it. Lots of key pieces to this ballpark structure were put in. The field is natural grass. The capacity is 2,200, and it is the former home of the Medicine Hat Blue Jays, which was the minor league affiliate of, yes, you guessed it, the Toronto Blue Jays. That hit could belong on the Toronto Blue Jays all the way back to the wall and gone. Absolutely smoked. The Dawgs needed some energy, and they got it.
Yeah, it was a big fly by Croson. I watched him in BP before the game, and that looks familiar. Yeah, just to add to what you were saying about Athletic Park, the expansion with the roof, the field level seats, the netting, all of that, just under $3 million, which was quite an investment for an older ballpark.
And this year they had a minor reno, getting some railings put in up top, which were much needed. A lot of older fans come out to the games, and oftentimes that hike up the steps can be a tall task. And so having those in there, it has worked wonders. That one over into right foul territory.
And pergola over top the third base patio.
So there's the the phrase where it could be put in, and that was put in this year as well. All wood down there, and fans who rent out that deck, another place for gatherings, I'm sure they're going to be happy with a little more shade this year. Count is 1-2 here with no outs. And a rifling throw, that will get him. And so Robleski goes down on strikes, and it's still Luis Diaz out there. He's had a lot of work in this game ever since Voico exited. There are some bodies warming up behind him, though.
I would think we're going to see new pitchers for both teams. They're going to want to get a look at their pitching staff, and this is the game to do it.
I was going to say, despite wanting to win games, still you want to know what you have so that when the games get, more and more important down the stretch, you're going to know who you want to go to. And, sometimes players start cold and you can get hotter later, but you still want to know who's reliable. Here comes Diaz now, sending that one down. It'll be a ground ball over to Vanesti. He wraps it up, plays it over to first, and it's Morrison who nets it on the other end. Two quick outs here as a homer started off this inning from Croson, trying to rally his troops back into the game, and Diaz takes a bit of command back his way.
Yeah, it's nice after the leadoff home run to get a couple of quick outs.
Rather, that was Kroll who just went down. So Eisman up to bat now. Coming up in the 7th inning stretch, we talked about our segments earlier, and we will have that first one, and it involves a little bit of chirping. Maybe not the kind that you think. No, it doesn't have to do with any trash talk, but we'll let you conjure up some conspiracies to what we may be talking about.
For those hockey fans, Florida won tonight.
Ooh, so they're off to the Stanley Cup final. Volcano backhands that one over to Evan Morrison, and that does it for the top of the 7th. So get up, everybody. Stretch out a little if you want to, or stick around for our first edition of Obscure Rules or Happenings in Baseball. And for this Wednesday night special, let's talk about Randy Johnson, one of the greatest pitchers of all time, a 4-time Cy Young winner. But Randy, he had a little bit of bad luck in his career when he accidentally made contact with a bird during a spring training game, and the bird completely vanished. So on March 24th, 2001, while facing off against the San Francisco Giants, Johnson threw a fastball which accidentally hit a dove that was flying right in front of home plate. There's roughly 10,000 people in attendance at Tucson Electric Park in Tucson, Arizona. And funny enough, the team in that game that Johnson was playing, the San Francisco Giants, he'd later play for them in his career. But that wasn't the funniest part about this whole event. PETA famously sued Johnson for the incident, which clearly he had no control over. But it actually ended up working as some good luck for Johnson as he went on to win his 3rd consecutive Cy Young that year. But more importantly, he was a focal point in the Diamondbacks capturing their first and to date only World Series championship. He also took home the World Series MVP. And it's fair to assume that although the incident was bad luck for the Dove, it turned into good fortune for Johnson and the rest of the Diamondbacks. Well, for the Mavericks, they have a couple of birds chirping nearby as well. You may not be able to see from your camera angle, but in the light post in right field, a bunch of ospreys have made it home for this season. Last season, they had their shop set up over in left field, but have moved over since. And who knows? Maybe the Mavericks have a little bit of bird luck on their side this year. We'll have to wait and see. It's just the beginning. But for Johnson and company, it worked well. So that's our first edition of Obscure Rules or Happenings in Baseball, and we look forward to another segment come next Thursday. Frank Flores enters the game for the Okotoks Dawgs here in the bottom of the 7th inning. Hopefully you're all stretched out and enlightened by my storytelling.
So Micah Dvorak at the plate. Dvorak looking for his first hit.
Yeah, it hasn't been
I'm
a typical
not too worried
night.
about him, though. I think he'll do just fine this year.
Yeah, if his trajectory from last season says anything about what he's going to do, it's safe to say, as you said, Wayne, he'll be good. Dvorak launches that one along the ground into center field, and there he goes. He's got his first hit right on cue. And coming up to bat is Jaden Babiuk. Taking a look at the hits now. They're even at 11. But the Mavs, for their sake, up in the important category, 7-5. Can they build off of it here with Dvorak getting on early? Jeremy Freeman Jr. waiting on deck.
Corner expecting a bunt. Babiuk squares, but pulls back.
Do you think that was just an attack for the first pitch, or will he go back to something like that?
Well, it all depends on your coach's philosophy again. I don't mind the bunt here at all. Let's get a runner to scoring position.
Babiuk will foul that one off. He taps his bat a couple of times in frustration.
He's got the right idea. He's trying to bunt it to first base because the first baseman has to hold the runner on, so he can't crash to get in early, whereas the third baseman can.
And you mentioned something interesting earlier there, Wayne. You talk about the players, we get to kind of see what they're all about. You mentioned the coach's philosophy. We also get to learn about what our crew on the bench is like.
Exactly. Yeah, we're new coaching staff this year, outside of Chad Martin, but a new head coach, new pitching coach. Rodriguez, a new coach. Reed. I don't think Dvorak will be going here. Babiuk is squaring to bunt, so the bunt is on.
And that one goes backwards as he takes a swing at the bat after, not the swing he was looking for.
Yeah, he's got to execute that. When you're asked to bunt, you're only going to get 2 chances to put it down. And now we'll really see what JT, the manager, is looking to do here. Will he ask him to bunt again? Croson at third base doesn't think so. He's way back again. I don't think he'll have him bunt again.
Babiuk will duck down to the level of that ball and take it for a ball.
Babiuk is 0 for 2 tonight. He walked his last at-bat, flew out to center field, and struck out his first plate appearance.
He's one of 3 again this year in a catcher package for the Mavs. His teammate at Valley City State, Jamel Chabot, also a part of the crew. He'll knife that one aside. And Nate King from Kankakee Community College, that's a tongue twister, has just recently joined the Mavs as well. So those are the 3 names that you'll likely see behind the dish. Aaron Volcano has played a little bit of catcher in his time, but they're not expecting that from him here. That one fouled aside. So Babiuk staying around here in a battle that continues to grow and grow against Frank Flores.
Well, there's a big hole between first and second if he can pull it through there. Good take.
It's interesting for Babiuk. He's not a pull hitter whatsoever. You see him go to the left side way more than that right.
He does. Left fielder is playing very deep. I don't think Dvorak will be going here. No, he isn't. There he goes.
And this one played off to the shortstop, and it's bobbled at the last moment. Munoz couldn't get a handle on it, and it allows Babiuk to cruise into first base.
That should be a hit for Babiuk. Would have been a tough play anywhere, if there was a play anywhere.
And waiting on the official signal, neither an error or hit have been put up on the board.
They did put
a hit.
I would think Freeman's going to bunt here. JT giving the signals from in front of the dugout to the players and the batter. the runners and the batter. So I think if you're going to bunt with the number 8 hitter with nobody out, you might bunt with the number 9 hitter. However, Freeman runs exceptionally well, and he would be a tough player to double up. So you might want him just to hit away, and let's go for the big inning here.
Well, that was the first.
If you're going to bunt, you're only going to go for maybe the 1 run. 2 runs now that there's nobody on, so you'd be going for 2 runs. If you have him hit away, you're going for a big inning.
Well, that's what I was going to ask about. With Freeman, is the scenario different just because of the tools that he has?
I would think so, but again, it depends upon the coach's philosophy. Does he want the top of his order up with runners on second and third, or is he going to go for a big inning here? The corners are in, middle infield playing double play depth. He's swinging away.
He takes the first pitch high. Now, aside from giving up a home run, giving him a free pass wouldn't be great either.
I like this. Freeman hit the first pitch he saw off the right center field wall 3/4 of the way up. So he's got some pop in his bat. Now he has struck out his last 2 at-bats. Oh, he hits it hard.
And it goes right off the face. They're going to get the out at second.
Oh.
Freeman's safe at first, and Babiak not happy about that.
That was a great play by the shortstop Munoz. He backhanded flip behind his back to Pez at second base. That was a remarkable play.
And Yusei Uzawa here. He's had some real solid appearances at the plate tonight.
Well, let's see if Freeman's going to be on the run at first base.
High throw there from Flores. Flores, another member of the University of Colorado Pueblo team. Danny Retzlaff on there.
Good
Alex Oliver, another dog, part of
Good
that university.
Oh, he hit
Zawa hit that one well.
That's going to score a run.
Freeman will trot back towards first, but Uzawa does his job. Another run in for the Mavs here as they build this lead up to 3 once more. Seems like every time there's a little bit of a push from the Dawgs, there's a resilience from the Mavs. At the start of the season, I think you see that sometimes for teams more often because you don't have anything to get in your head about as a group.
Yeah. I would expect Freeman's going to go here.
Right on cue. Throw from Anderson is behind Freeman. Ball was dropped, and he will be in there safely. For those of you who are new to the broadcast, and we say this a couple times a year, Wayne Slosher has been around the game of baseball for a long time. But his ability to predict plays, regardless of how long you've been around it, it is impressive. As Volcano goes out at first here, and that will be the 3rd out of this bottom of 7, but the Mavs add another run. So if you hear some chuckling or you hear Wayne being right a lot, both of those things are acceptable. But it will occur throughout the season.
I get lucky. I get lucky.
new pitcher in the game for the Mavs, and we've talked about Ottawa University a lot throughout this game, and we'll talk about it once more as this one is hit into center field.
Ouch.
And it is going to go all the way back-to-back innings with a home run to start off for the Okotoks Dawgs. And you know it's bad when you don't even get a chance to introduce who's on the mound. A bomb once again, and that power continues to drive the Dawgs forward. And although they're still in the league, it's something that the Mavericks have not been able to match, is the power that the Dawgs possess.
Well, we keep saying you never know which run's going to be the winning run, and that's going to prove true tonight.
Lou Anderson coming up to bat. Pea's going deep there. So on the mound is Diego Centella, the third member of this University of Ottawa, Kansas pitching crew. We've seen all three of them tonight, 4 of them in the game.
Yeah.
So for those who are familiar with the University of Ottawa Braves, you might just be a fan of the Mavericks as well. A pitch high. Centella from Panama City.
Well, if the fans like runs being scored, they've got it tonight with 14 so far.
What a way to kick off a season.
Yeah, exactly. And it's nice that we've got 8 of those 14 runs.
Count is 1-2. Doing a bit of reshuffling here is Lou Anderson.
Anderson is 1 for 2 tonight. He also walked, scored a run, actually stole a base as well.
So if you have a Lou Anderson bingo card, he's probably checked off one bingo for sure. Foul backwards. Ooh. A thunderous noise. I think that one hurt Anderson on the way through. A bit of a stinger on the hands. Yep. Centella checks back in here against Anderson, looking for his first recorded out as a Mavs pitcher.
Oh.
And that one looked fairly good. Babiuk holding on tight, but Mavs don't get the call.
Yeah, it could have been up a little bit, in a little bit.
I'm going to get past Babiuk, but no trouble with no runners on. Despite the lights being on and the sky getting darker, it's a baby blue out there right now. It's hasn't reached that.
Clouds have completely disappeared.
It's a perfect night for baseball. Centella high over the head of Babiuk, and that's a free pass for Lou Anderson.
That's tough. We were up 1-2 in the count, and now the tying run comes to the plate, which is never a good thing.
No outs as well with the 7, 8, 9 hitters here for the Dawgs. This is the part of the order you'd like to get through in the top of the 8th and then deal with the big guns in the top of the 9th.
I think this is a good move by Cesar Rodriguez going out. Let's get him back into this zone. Get a ground ball here, get a double play. Action in the Mavs bullpen. What you don't want to do is let the Dawgs get 2 or 3 runners on base. Kaufman is 0 for 4 tonight. He might be one of those guys that would put down a push bunt somewhere.
Centella goes high again.
Yeah, he'll probably take until a strike is thrown to him.
Another high one from Centea. I'm not sure if you can see on the broadcast, but there's a little moving object behind the diamond. And we see this every year. A man who has these little carts will drive back and forth throughout the course of a game. Centea gets a strike there. But he's got a collection of these little cars, and
he's got
all unique.
He's got to start putting logos on them and advertising them and have people sponsor him. Count is 2-1.
That's a strike there from Centea. Maybe our sponsor, Town Place Suites, get in on the action. We could run their ad all game long. He just has to drive back and forth.
No lead at first base by Anderson, so I don't expect he's going anywhere, although he did steal a base earlier on.
High one from Centea as he takes a leap after that pitch, not where he wanted it.
Volcano coming in and talking to the pitcher, trying to encourage him to let's get going, get a ground ball. Fans clapping to get him going.
This one blooped up into the air. Long run for Venesti. It'll go foul. Never really had a chance at it. It was a bit of a nervous clap there, Wayne. You can tell that the fans are getting a bit anxious. It was short and choppy.
Well, he's gone to full count on both batters after the leadoff home run, and that's not a good sign.
Centea will throw that one down the middle. Morrison trying to find it in the sky and does. An important out number one for the Mavericks. Lou Anderson still over at first. And Aiden Munoz up at the plate.
I think it's a pinch hitter, right? Or not? No. Number 20, not 21.
You're right. It is a pinch hitter in here, I believe. I think it might be 29 out there. One will stay ahead of Babiuk.
It's number 20.
It is number 20, and
we don't have a number 20 here, folks, so we can't update you on who the batter is.
This might be crazy, but I'm going to go out on a limb and no, I'm not going to go out on a limb. I thought maybe there was a couple of players pre this game that weren't listed on the point streak roster that are on their active roster, the likes of Logan Grant and Ricky Sanchez. Thinking maybe it would be one of those two out there.
Oh, it's not Logan Grant.
Swing and a miss. And I believe Sanchez has a title game that he has to play here pretty soon for Pittsburgh State. So I don't think he is currently in Medicine Hat either.
Oh, good block by Babiuk.
Benito Bonilla, another one of those players and currently still listed on the roster.
Boy, we're 3-1 again. This is not a good recipe going here.
Working his way back once again is Centea. Centea, that one's high and a walk is issued. And this might be the end here for Centea. See if there's any movement in the dugout here for the Mavs or if they let him be. Babiuk's going to go talk with him instead.
Well, just so you're interested, folks, 50-50 pot, $1,827. That's what you take home if you got a lucky ticket.
And the golden question is, will Wayne's dry streak continue? Ever since I've entered this booth him, he has not won once.
I know. I won every year before you, And since you've been here, I haven't won since. However, good thing I split it with somebody else. So top of the order. And that's not good news.
Especially with how Kroos has played tonight. And he's going to send a little one over into right field. Sometimes that's all it needs. And the bases are loaded for the Dawgs with one out. And immediately to the mound is JT.
Yeah, you put two guys on base, and then you get the top of the order, and now you got to hang on. So we are going to have a pitching change.
And while this pitching change occurs, if you're ever planning on coming to Medicine Hat to check out a game, make sure to get your tickets in advance at Mavericks.ca. The link is below if you want to take a picture, write it down. We'll hold it up for a couple more moments here. But make sure to get them ahead because it gets very busy, especially when the playoffs creep around. It piles up. It's always something to get onto. We might as well take a look at some of the upcoming games for the Mavericks here, Wayne. It's a busy schedule within the first week and a lot of games at home as they play Moose Jaw right back here tomorrow, same time, same place. On Friday, it'll be the first road game of the season in Swift Current playing off against the New Look 57s. They've had a bunch of changes within their organization, not just within the players on the roster. And then they go back to Medicine Hat. They'll play Lethbridge on Saturday. Saturday game is always fun. The crowd's usually bigger on those weekend days. And Sunday, they'll be once again at home on the 1st of June playing the Swift Current 57s, 2:05. Every Sunday game is an afternoon game in the WCBL. So that is the upcoming schedule and what it looks like for the Mavericks.
Tough schedule, 5 games in 5 days. Lots of the kids that are getting back into the groove, and some haven't never got out of the groove. But all of a sudden, 5 games in a row. College players aren't used to playing 5 days in a row. Usually it's a midweek game, and then you've got your weekend games. But
I'm sure many of them will take the extra games in exchange for not having to study on the side. But other players still taking spring semesters or summer semesters in school, so they're doing work on the road or on those long bus trips. So the life of a student athlete is treacherous at times.
A.J. Dole on the mound.
From Hutchinson Community College.
And he's got a tough order with 2, 3, and 4 coming up. Kroos and homered his last at-bat. Corners are playing in, middle infield playing double play, depth.
This one going to be grounded to Dole, straight home to Babiuk, over to first, double play.
One pitch.
That's not usually how you draw it up, but Dole, 1 pitch, 2 outs. How about that for a trade? The Mavs head to the bottom of the 8th, escaping a fearful top of the 8th inning.
into the game.
Bottom of the 8th inning, and Tyler Vanesti will start things off for the Mavericks, who are 3 outs away from winning opening day here from Athletic Park in Medicine Hat, Alberta. And all the way out in Rimouski are the Medicine Hat Tigers, the hockey counterpart of the Medicine Hat Mavericks, and the journey they're on is quite remarkable.
They're on such a roll. You know, they're one win away from winning the championship. And, I mean, that is tough to do. They've only won the championship twice before, I believe. 88, 89.
Those are some good teams back in the day.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, James does a great job with the Mavericks, or with the Tigers.
Well, and the Mavericks both.
Yeah,
James Tubb of the
he's here all the time.
Medicine Hat News, Mr. Wednesday night.
Yeah, I'm really glad he got a chance to go to Rimouski's. A Tigers diehard fan. So Alex Oliver on the mound for the Dawgs.
And Oliver gets a swing and a tip here to move it to a full count. Oliver out of Colorado State Pueblo.
Tell you what, he's got a little giddy up on his pitches. That ball's coming in there pretty good.
Yeah, that's a fearless fastball.
So I wonder if James can speak French yet. He's been down there long enough. He's got all this time off. A strikeout.
And this is what Oliver has to do. Keep his team alive in it. Make a calm transition into the top of the 9th. And
yeah, just have a shutdown inning here. And they're going to have 3, 4, and 5 hitters coming up, so they're in the meat of their order next, or the top of the 9th.
Roth up to bat as he squibs that one off. Looking at the scoreboard, only 1 inning with more than 2 runs put up. And in a ball game with a score like this, that's not something you often see. Here's a throw down to first, and it's gathered and dropped at the last moment. Crowell couldn't handle the hot hop.
That should be an error on the third baseman. Had lots of time, just got the in-between hop over to Crowell at first base. So it is an error.
Aaron Volcano, who Wayne was raving about in his last at-bat, will
I thought it was
take
a good
shape at the plate.
matchup with the lefty, and he looked very calm up there.
Faces the righty now and gets on that one.
Good hit.
One floated in the air for forever, and it'll land in the grass. Ball will roll even further back, down to third and in. Volcano's into second, and the Mavs, they're in business. 2 in scoring position here as maneuvering his way up to the plate is Evan Morrison.
Center fielder is hurt.
That was a tough slide that Krause made in there.
He dove for it, and I think he might have landed awkwardly on his shoulder. Yeah, he's flexing his shoulder. Good base running by Volcano. He rounded first, and he waited to see where the throw was going to go because he would have been out had the throw go to second. So he went halfway, and when he saw the throw going to third, he took off. Very good play by Volcano. Let's hope that Krause is okay out in center field. Very difficult to see.
So hopefully for Krause's sake, he's okay. You know, he took a slide over in right center earlier tonight that from the start of it looked like it could have been disastrous, and this time it's a slide the other way that has him in rough shape.
Looks like he might be coming out of the game. No, he is going to stay in the game. That's a good sign. Meeting on the mound now with Morrison coming to the plate. First base open. And you got a left-hander following behind him with Dvorak, so you're going to face the lefty either now or later. Morrison is 2 for 4, single and a solo home run. Struck out his last at bat. I think he does like the fastball, so this could be right up his alley. Infielder playing in on the grass.
Yeah, if Morrison gets a clean one here, you'd like to think that it might be the one that turns the lights out.
Yeah, he's going to look to hit the ball hard somewhere.
Swing and a miss on a low one there. He was digging in the dirt. See if Morrison's patience that he's shown throughout the start of the night will be maintained here. He'll wait on that one. Swing and a miss, and that will sit Morrison down.
I'm not sure what that pitch was, but he threw it twice and he fooled Morrison both times.
And in the past, it's been Morrison hunting up high.
Yeah, that could have been I don't know whether it's a split finger or a changeup. Didn't look like a changeup, but anyway, he got the result he wanted.
So 2 outs. Big spot for Dvorak. He's going to swing and miss on that one for strike number 1.
And those of you that are watching, I apologize for not keeping quite up with the score clock.
Dvorak won't offer there. That one lands at his feet. The trees in the background have a dark silhouette creeping in on that blue night sky.
Yeah, it looks nice up there.
The lights from the Medicine Hat Golf Club beaming up top in left field. Dvorak tips that one off the end of the bat. You can tell by his body language, not a fan of his offering there.
Yeah, you can see the left fielder now. Kaufman is playing way in. He's expecting Dvorak to hit it his way.
A high one to Dvorak. He'll sit tight. So 2's across the board. And 2 on the base path. Dvorak gonna light that one up the middle. 1 run in to score. A second will round, and Volcano is in. The Mavs, 2 insurance runs courtesy of Micah Dvorak, and it was a slow first couple of innings, but the evolution of Dvorak in this game alone has led him to putting the Mavs up front by 4.
Yeah, it was a good piece of hitting. Got a pitch up.
And a tough one to swallow here for the Dawgs, who have kept themselves in this game the whole way through, and they're still in it. They still got a couple more at-bats to play with in the top of 9, but the hill is much larger to climb.
Yeah.
If there is any team that can do it, though, I wouldn't bet against the 3 times over champions.
That pitch looked up. Babiak asked the umpire about it, but it's not going to change his mind. Babiak singled his last at-bat.
Another strike there has Babiak jumping. For many players that are seniors, this is potentially it for their careers.
Yeah.
They've closed out their collegiate careers. Babiak could potentially be one of those, as he was a senior graduating from Valley City State. And the coach of the Mavs, Jonathan Thornhill, coming up here with him as a part of that Viking squad. Jamel Chabot as well. And a nice piece of hitting there from Babiuk as he's going to float that one into center field.
I like that. Two-strike approach. Just put the barrel on the bat somewhere and gets himself another hit.
15 total for the Mavs tonight. And Wayne, I don't have the official stat sheet in front of me, but feels like everybody on the Mavs has a hit tonight. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to mention that later on, but they've all got a hit.
So still 2 outs on the board, 2 runners on. Jeremy Freeman will step up and dig in. That's exactly what the Mavs have done tonight. They've dug in. Didn't allow the moment of it being opening day and being with a new team and the uncertainty settle in. They took advantage. Swing and a miss there from Freeman as this count tips over to 1-1.
Lots of hits in this game. 28 hits so far.
Swing and a miss again from Freeman as he goes chasing.
That's that pitch that got Morrison. I want to know what it is. Because it's a good one, and when he keeps it down there.
And he goes to something similar again.
That one looked like a slider, but it had good break on it. Yeah, he's effective. I like him.
There's some finesse, some great movement, and if he can get something hot in there as well, he could be a dangerous pitcher. That's Alex Oliver. But the Dawgs, they'll need to be dangerous in the top of the 9th. They got some work to do, trailing by 4 on the road during this chopped leaf home opener. Well, right on the money last inning was A.J. Dahl. Call him A.J. Dalla. 1 pitch, 2 outs.
Yeah, and he's got the meat of the order to go through here.
First pitch is low. And even more of a chance to prove himself here with the Mavs hanging on to a 4-run lead. Dahl will miss on his second attempt. Dahl began his baseball journey playing for the first time at age 3. As he gets a strike there. Grew up as a Kansas City Royals fan, fans of Alex Gordon and Kelvin Herrera. favorite number is number 40 because of Kelvin Herrera. He's worn it in the past.
Oh, good curveball. He buckled Wroblewski.
Count is 2-2.
I'd throw that again. I'd just make sure it's going to be low and away. Oh, fastball.
Full count here in Dahl's meeting with Wroblewski. Here comes the throw.
Good
and Dahl not able to get him.
Dahl walking around on the mound. He wants to know where that pitch missed. Probably was inside. But leadoff hitter on. That's what the Dogs want. Right now they need base runners.
And Nash Kroll up to bat. Barry Eisman waiting on deck, 2 veterans. If the Dogs are going to get base runners on, they've got the right people to do it.
Yeah, the Mavs need outs now.
Throw over to first, and Morrison thought he was close, and he's actually still pleading with the umpire over there.
That was close. Dahl's got a good quick move, quick feet on the mound.
We talked about sports being all about inches, as Kroll will send this one off. It's going to be a long hustle down there, and it will go foul. Not a realistic place to get to there in right field for Aaron Volcano, but back to what I was talking about with, being a game of inches down there at first base, and the pitch from Dahl, those could go either way, and
yeah.
the Mavs being on the flip side of both of them, and see if the Dogs can use this to their advantage.
You know what? I like the pitch, though. It was full count, and he threw a curveball, and he just missed, so it's good to know that he's not just going to throw a fastball on full count.
Ooh, that one had Babiuk stumbling backwards. Here comes the throw, and it floats right in for a strike as Dahl gets himself even with Crowell.
Dahl shaking off whatever Babiuk called. Count is 2-2. Missed again on the inside part of the plate.
Throw hasn't been his friend. And this time it is. Dahl with a huge K. First out of the inning for the Mavericks. It's not an easy hitter to get out. That's an all-star in 2023 in Nash Kroll. A feared hitter around the WCBL.
That seems to be Dahl's go-to pitch, that curveball, and I'm glad to see that he's not scared to throw it. Even when he misses it, he came right back with another one.
I mean, if it keeps working for him, we could call it the curved Dahl, not a curved ball.
Yeah.
Little rattler. Dahl gets to it, underhands it to Morrison at first, and the Mavs are 1 out away from taking their first home game and their first game in general of the season. And they'll be first in the WCBL standings, largely due to that no one else has played other than them and the Dogs, but it is still first for the time being.
Give us the trophy right now. So that runner on second base means nothing. Everybody's just going to play the hitter here, and if he wants to go to third, he can go to third. He won't go because they need base runners, but
A little one from Dahl there.
so they got the right guy up here if they want to keep the rally going. Pez is 3 for 4 tonight with a home run.
I believe this is Eisman here.
Oh, is this Eisman?
No, you're right. It is Pez.
Don't mess with me like that, Truman. Oh, thank goodness for the screen.
Well, 3 and 8 look so similar. There's a reason, although you can't see, there's a reason I'm wearing glasses up here.
Same.
So you probably shouldn't be trusting either of us.
One pitch.
Dahl looking to finish this one off.
Yeah, the Dogs are down to their last strike, potentially.
Claps ring around Athletic Park. Here comes the throw from Dahl, and it is going to keep the Dogs alive. Nice hit into right field there for Paez.
You know, I like that he goes to his curveball. That's obviously his out pitch. I think he'll be more effective if he can keep it low and away rather than up and in.
Gotta say, Wayne, this stat sheet that we have right here might be the worst stat sheet I've ever seen in my life. Because now I'm not sure if Kaufman's last name or first name is Landon or Caleb, because I've seen both tonight. I'll tell you what, his last name's Kaufman. That's a free pass over to second.
Again, the Mavericks aren't worried about the base runners. They just want to get Anderson out.
And Jason Ariola checks in at the plate. Pinch hitting here tonight.
Oh.
Right on the back end.
Now the tying run comes to the plate.
I was going to say there's a little bit of hope with one out. Still clinging to just that one out. And there'll be a mound meeting here. All parties for the Mavericks involved.
So Kaufman coming to the plate. Kaufman's 0 for 4 tonight. Nope, they're going to put in a pinch hitter. I kind of thought 0 for 4. I thought, well, you got to have somebody on the bench that you want to have a look at. So somebody's getting their helmet and getting their bat in the Dogs bullpen.
Hopefully it's a number we have on our sheet here.
Number 12, is it?
And that would be
Zane Skansky.
You got it, Zane Skansky. So Skansky's got the moment printed out for him here. Lights are shining the brightest they have all night, and the stage is set.
Yeah, all he has to do is just keep passing the baton. He doesn't need to hit a home run or anything. Just get on base. Let the next guy come up, and that's Munoz.
And a nice heat check there from Dahl as he starts with a strike.
Tough coming in when you haven't been in the game all night.
When crossing up Babiuk. And luckily stays in front of him here for the Mavs' sake. Not sure that runner at third is looking to go at all, but if it got far enough past, he'd take a chance at it.
Well, he'd have to make sure he's going to come in standing up. Anything closer than that, and he's better off to stay there.
Swing and a miss, and Dahl gets it down to 1 strike.
So what do you think he's going to throw? That curveball? I think this could be a good time for a fastball up in the zone. Oh,
and a high one off the top of the glove. It'll get into center field. 1 run in, a second run in, and a third runner goes over to third base. A huge hit. Ice water off the bet of Scansey.
That curveball's just up in the zone too high.
And the Dawgs hang around. It's a 2-run game with 2 on and 1 at the plate. And it's number 20, who we do not have a name for.
Well, he walked his last at-bat. So are the Mavs going to let the runner go at first? I doubt it. I think they'll try to make a play on him.
Couldn't cross him up there. First pitch is a ball.
I would have checked that to see whether he swung. He got pretty close to it.
Despite not having any name that we have for him right now,
Yeah.
Hero is the only name he might want to be going by the end of this game. That'll cross up Babiuk, and instead it hit him.
The batter.
Oh, the bases are loaded here.
And you got the top of the order.
And moving up to the plate,
number 32.
it is Louis Charles LaRouche.
I don't know. Kraus was 3 for 3 his last 3 at-bats.
Kraus got injured in center field there.
That's right,
if
he
you
did.
can remember.
Yeah, he came out of the game.
Well, we'll see what happens here with LaRouche, but the next guy up is Connor Croson. He could start this year the way he ended last.
A walk-off walk. Good
And a
pitch.
strike there from Dahl as he evens it at 1. The Dawgs giving the Mavs everything they can handle right now.
Just got to get that curveball lower.
And that one is going to squeak through the gap. 1 in. And Yuzawa's going to fumble it in the field. Throw over to second, and this ball game is tied. Can you believe it? A meltdown of sorts for the Mavericks, and the Dawgs flashing that championship pedigree once again. And they got a chance to win it here with a runner on third. It seemed like this game was almost over at one point. The Mavs needed to get 1 strike, and instead, striking the ball the other way with a glorious hit at the time, I believe was Arriola. Or it was Scansky, rather, was the hit the other way.
Pez kind of kept it going with his hit. There was a single or a walk to lead off this inning, then a strikeout, then a ground out to the pitcher, and then Pez started this rally with a single, followed by a walk, a single, a hit pitch, and now another single.
So Ryan Dexter is coming in relief here to try and get the last out. And he's got to face one of the most dangerous hitters in the WCBL. At least for his sake, it's just 1 he has to get.
Yeah. Well, we said earlier on in the game, you never know which run's going to be the winning run. So you got to keep scoring.
And the Athletic Park crowd absolutely silenced.
Well, when you have a 4-run lead going into the ninth and you get 2 out with only 1 runner on, you kind of think that you're still in control, but that's why the teams just keep on playing.
That's why you play the game.
You gotta get that last out. Yeah, there's no time clock.
We approach 10:15 local time here in Medicine Hat, Alberta. And here comes Connor Croson. A one-on-one match with Ryan Dexter. One of the 2 returning pitchers for the Mavs. Max Hudlow, the other, not quite here yet. He's still off competing in the JUCO World Series for Century College. But here's Ryan Dexter. Hair a little bit longer than last time he was here. Didn't pitch a lot last season, was limited in his opportunities with the Mavs. And
that curveball was up and in. Let's see what they do with the first baseman.
And here goes Croson through the gap, and the comeback is complete. Just as he did last year, Connor Croson walks it off for the Dawgs. And
no, we're home team.
Oh, yeah, okay, this is dumb. What am I doing? Shut the broadcast off. That's stupid. I should stick to hockey, Wayne.
Hey, it's our first game of the year.
It doesn't mean I can forget the rules of baseball. Anyways, a 5-run top of the 9th for the Okotoks Dawgs. I was wondering why nobody was running off the field. I'm like, that is the most humble celebration I've ever seen. He shook his coach's hand at first base, and
well, he was pointing into the dugout as he was running to first base because he knew that was going to score the go-ahead run.
this one popped up, and it will likely be, a juggling act that isn't completed. I didn't think there was a chance that Morrison was going to get there. That ball just stayed on its line straight down. It didn't drift. Dexter gets a swing and a miss.
Good fastball up in the zone.
Swing and a miss as Dexter, although the Mavs relinquish the lead, he does give them a chance now, down 1 heading into the bottom of the 9th. We will go there in a moment.
That was a tough inning for the Mavs.
So we're back. Bottom of the 9th inning. And Yusei Uzawa will bat for the Mavs here. Top of the order, so they're in a good spot. But
Trey Mackwood is the closer in for the Dawgs on the mound. He's from Calgary.
As many of the members of the Dawgs are. There's another strike to Uzawa.
You see waiting until a strike gets called on him. Third baseman Krausen playing in, respecting the speed of UC. Count is 2-1. Attaboy, get on base. You'll be taking here, I'm sure. Yep.
He listened to you.
He what?
He listened to you. Get on base.
Take, please. Now the question is, do you have him steal?
With no outs, would you steal?
You know, I would wait for him. I'd give him the green light. Let him decide on his own whether he can get a good read. Because you got number 2, 3, 4 hitters coming up.
This is the spot for Johnny Volcano, though. This is where he makes his money here in the trying times, down a run in a do-or-die inning.
Well, keeping him at first base does a couple of things. You got to hold between first and second, plus you're putting pressure on the pitcher because he's going to try to get rid of the ball quicker. And this could work to Volcano's advantage here if he misses his zone for pitching. And if I'm Volcano, I'm going to take until he throws me a strike. He just walked the leadoff hitter.
It's a strike to Volcano. Talked to Johnny about a year ago, and he remembers playing for Vauxhall in a tournament down in Vegas.
Vauxhall Academy.
And he had a big spot up against a pitcher who was throwing heat. And he told himself, close his eyes and swing as hard as you can at the high fastball if you get it. And he hit it over the fence, and they won. We'll see if he's got a little bit of that juice here in the bottom of the 9th.
I like, that last pitch bounced 5 feet in front of the plate, and I think that's a result of UC at first base. Just the thought of him getting to second. Again, he's having to split his focus between the batter and the runner. UC does not have a big lead.
One low to Volcano, and yeah, you're right about the focus. That pitch was an unfocused throw.
This is a great hit and run pitch.
Pitch to Volcano. Here goes Uzawa, and they're going to call him safe. He lost the ball. It was behind him.
Yeah, I think he might have been out had he not dropped the ball at second.
I had the secondary angle up here on the monitor, and Wayne, he looked out by a mile if that ball didn't land in there. And that's a fast guy, but a great throw from the catcher.
But again, you got to catch the ball and put the tag down. So you got to come up to catch it on the bounce, then catch it and put the tag down, and that's tough to do.
Volcano rockets that one.
Hit it hard.
That's the type of contact you're looking to make, but location was off.
Yeah. And you have no control once it leaves the bat. You just want to hope that you hit it hard.
There'll be a mound meeting here as Venesti comes up. They know the power he possesses. What do you think the game plan is here for a hitter like Tyler Venesti?
You know, I think you just have to make sure that you don't fall behind on Venesti. Now, he's a good hitter, and you don't want to give in to him, but you also have first base open. So if you do fall behind on him, you know, it may not be the worst thing, because then you setting yourself up for a double play, although you don't want to put the winning run on first base either. So it's a conundrum, as I would say.
Ball is low to Venesti.
It's one of those things where, as a coach, you say, don't give in to him, but don't give him anything to hit. So you kind of tell him one thing, and then you tell him the opposite thing.
Venesti will take a couple of swings on the side here as the mound meeting is finished off, and he'll step back in.
Venesti is 1 for 4 tonight. He did hit a double, and that one was way down the left field line off the wall. Oh, had him picked off. Just didn't throw the ball.
It's lucky there. Played with a bit of fire. When catching a bit of the sky, that was a high throw.
Yeah, a curveball that didn't curve. Now is a good hitter's count for Venesti now. If he can get the fastball up and in a little bit, middle in.
And they're really trying to work away from him here, not give him anything to eat.
And that might have been part of the strategy is, you know, let's not let him beat you. We'll let Roth do that, or attempt to do that. I would imagine he'll be taking a pitch here.
And he does, but it's for a strike. Still a comfortable spot for Venesti.
He won't be taking another one, though. I think if he gets the same pitch. He's got to be looking just dead red fastball here, nothing else. Curveball, just let it go. Good at bat.
So Venesti will take a journey off to first base, and now the pressure on Carter Roth.
Well, now you got the winning run only 90 feet closer. Center fielder playing shallow, right fielder playing quite deep, left fielder middle. So they're looking to guard the line. Third baseman, first baseman are playing close to the line. No doubles.
And no chase on the first pitch here from Roth.
We need a hit here.
That one stays up for a ball. Roth will wait. It's a good take.
Yeah. Tough one to lay off of. Curveball low and away.
And Roth, a foul tip into the glove.
That is not a good swing on a 2-1 count. You got to remember, you're in the driver's seat, 2-1.
One is hammered, but too far foul. Lots of juice, not a lot of direction.
Yeah, that's a swing I like to see on 2-1.
2-2, 1 out. Roth at the plate. And two important runners.
Hit another one to
are
right
on.
field. Oh,
Down
good
in the
job,
dirt.
Good job.
And Uzawa will head off for third. Both runners go to scoring position, and it's a full count for Roth. And after losing their grip, it seems like the Mavericks might be regaining the steering wheel here.
Well, infield was playing in. So a single by the infield, and you got a great chance of scoring the tying and the winning run. Certainly the winning run. Fly ball to the outfield, you should be able to tie the game.
That one
That'll be a
popped
tough
up.
play.
It's going to
That'll
be
be
a
a tough
really tough
play.
play. And
Oh, it's foul.
oh, that was tight.
That was close, wasn't it?
Well, and I watched Kroll put up his hands down there thinking that the play might have been made.
Yeah, I watched the home plate umpire, and he yelled foul right away. Now I like what he's trying to do, Carter. He's letting the ball travel, and he'll take a little Judy hit over the right field area. He did that earlier on in the game, and it wasn't a Judy, it was a double. I like his ability to make contact. Oh, there we go. Tie the game.
And the game is
And we're gonna
tied,
score.
and the Mavericks are going to win. Oh, my
Wow.
goodness.
Catcher gave up on the play.
A lackadaisical effort leads to a Mavericks celebration. I'm not sure in what world
That
you
was,
draw it up like that.
yeah, that a wild pitch, a 2-run wild pitch, scores the tying and the winning run.
And for the Mavericks, certainly not disappointing as they come away with the win, but in a game that had so much back and forth and so many big moments, to end that way, it was almost
Yeah, you know, you're hoping that they can tie it.
very anticlimactic.
Yeah, I mean, let's put those runs up on the board. 1, 2, there we go. 12, 2-run score. Got a runner at first. Mavs walk it off on a wild pitch, a 2-run wild pitch.
2-run wild pitch.
I've never seen that before in my life, and I've been around baseball a long, long time. I've never seen that before.
And that is saying something. Opening night, the dramatics were at an all-time high, and we end in just such a squirrely way.
32 hits between the two teams, and I got to say, the Dawgs got to feel like one slipped away from them because they came out and they took it to us in the 9th inning. There was no cheap runs. There was no wild pitches. There was just hit after hit batter, a walk. But credit to our guys. They never gave up either. You know, I just want to think, you know, I'm looking at the roster here for the Mavericks. We had 7 hitters had 2 hits tonight.
Wow.
That's a lot. And 2, 4, 6, 7 hitters had 2 hits. Sorry. And I really liked UC Usawa. I mean, he was on base. He got walked 3 times, scored 3 runs, had a sacrifice fly with an RBI. I mean, he's an exciting player to watch. I think we're going to have a fun time watching him this season.
And super patient at the plate. He doesn't take any super aggressive hacks. He waits for it to come to him, and that's a special trait that not a lot of players, and especially young ball players, have. You get in there, you're wanting to hit the long ball, you're wanting to have the shining moment, and he sits there and he just plays the game within the game.
He knows his job is to get on base, and then he can use his speed. So he's okay walking 3 times in a game. So good for him. That was an exciting game.
It sure was for Yusei Yuzawa. And let's take a look at what tomorrow's game will entail here, as the Moose Jaw Miller Express are coming to town, a team that the Mavericks in 2023 faced off against in the playoffs, and they ultimately got that victory back in the day, and they had some tug of wars against them last year, including 3 different comebacks within their time playing the Moose Jaw Miller Express. Most memorably, the sacrifice fly 9-1 comeback when Johnny Volcano went to straight center field. A little bit more of a crazy, wild finish in that game than this one, but a comeback nonetheless. For Moose Jaw, Wayne, who are some players that we can expect as returners this year? I know there's one that you really liked last year.
Well, I just think Moose Jaw is an exciting team, and no matter who they have back or who they brought in this year, they're always a competitive team, and they've had some great players over the years, and I know it'll be a battle when they come to town tomorrow. So I haven't been reading all of the updates on who they have this year, Truman. So you're asking me tough questions right away.
I will ask you about one guy, though, and that's Austin Gurney from last year. He's an all-star year in and year out. Tell me what makes him such a dynamic player.
He's been in the league 3 years at least, and, a tough left-handed hitter. And he's so calm up at the plate. It doesn't matter what the count is. He realizes that if he gets one good pitch to hit, he's going to hit it hard. And if he misses that one pitch, he's not too worried about it because he knows that he's better than the pitcher. And that's why he's such a good hitter. Very solid at third base. He plays third base a lot, sometimes over at first base. But he's a pleasure to watch. He's a very good, he's an all-star. He's a very good player in this league.
Yeah, there's a reason he's an all-star. And one last thing on the Mavericks for tomorrow. After watching things tonight, I know we haven't seen every player yet, and we don't really have a feel for this team, but outside of talking about Yusei Yuzawa, what else did you like tonight, and you think that the Mavs can continue tomorrow, maybe within their style that they played?
I liked Aaron Volcano tonight. I liked his defense. He knows where to cover. He's covering first base. He's covering throws. I think it took him a little while, his first 2 or 3 at-bats, to realize, hey, you know what, all I have to do is not be over-anxious. And then his last couple of at-bats, he had a double and a single, had an RBI. I really liked what he did. Good to see Morrison have a couple of hits today. Babiak, Dvorak, all of those guys had 2 hits. And I think we only saw a little bit of Jeremy Freeman tonight. Like, he didn't have a lot of balls hit to him out in the outfield. And he made that one great one-hop throw to third base to kill a rally. I think we have a lot to see with Freeman yet this year. I think he's going to be one of those guys that's going to be exciting defensively and offensively.
Yeah, there's definitely some two-way flair within his game there. As we look ahead to Moose Jaw tomorrow, 7:05 from Athletic Park, we will be back. And we'll be back all season long right here on Flow Sports. It was a bit of a tug of war tonight, not only on the diamond but up here.
Yeah.
But we're glad. Be patient. We're glad you stayed along for the entire journey. And as always, thank you for tuning in to the Mavs post-game show here. We'll be back with more tomorrow. And stay tuned on social media for any post-game interview content that will be coming to you later tonight. So that does it for Wayne Slosher, myself, Truman Bartman. This one has come to a close, folks, and we can't wait to see what the next one brings. Take care.